Let me show these suckers how to ball out here. Oh, man, let's get this together here. Oh, layup. Oh, shot. Oh, three. Oh, it's like Brick City out here. Mid-range. Oh, my goodness. I can't buy a bucket out here. I missed the whole damn basket. Oh, my goodness. What's going on, man? My game is looking trash. Oh, here we go. Black Power Media shirt. Now we cooking. Trees. I'm taking on three of y'all with these right here. Between the legs. Oh, my goodness. Behind the back. Layup. Oh, did he just do a reverse? He is in beast mode out here. I ain't got to look. It's falling. Oh, my goodness. This guy is going 3, 2, 1. Kobe. Nice. Black Power Media, baby. Nice. Empower yourself. Go get me some of that Black Power Media again. Right here, blackpowermedia.org. Yeah.
You got to earn your liberation.
All right. What's up, world? Welcome back to Black Power Media. Geechee Yaw, Diallo Kenyatta, Jared Ball. It's Earn Your Liberation. It's Friday morning. What's up, fellas? What's the word?
Good morning.
Checking to see if I'm working. I'm a delay or good.
We hear you.
Perfect.
Would you say he got his thirst trap picture back up?
Yeah, it's up.
Mm-hmm.
Hey man, I'm struggling, man. I gotta use this old computer till I get down there to Atlanta, so I'll be all right.
Okay. Well,
running to Atlanta.
If folks just continue to like, share, subscribe, support the Patreon, blackpowermedia.org, maybe we can get Geechee some internet and a working laptop, and at least get him to an Invest Fest meeting where he can maybe learn some investment strategies to get his weight up.
Exactly.
His computer,
Hey,
so.
listen, man. All them grifters down there.
Some real estate with DJ Inmate.
All them grifters down there. I'm gonna get it popping.
Well, let's just out the gate.
I have hijacked and kidnapped DJ Envy. Don't worry, he'll be back. But I'm with my man Caesar right now. I said, Caesar, you got to show me the gold mines that surround me. So I grew up here. We're on Martin Luther King. We right in Adamsville. I grew up in these apartments doing some things that should have got my ass locked up forever. But now I'm here today learning how to invest. So Caesar, what we got?
28-unit building.
28-unit building.
Looks like a home run to me. 28 two bedrooms, townhouse style.
Yup.
We see opportunity down here.
See opportunity.
That's all we see.
And we're not going to pay a lot of money for it.
Oh, no. That's key. Under market value.
That's what I'm learning from him. Guys like Kenny, shout out. Appreciate y'all. And I'm about to go ride around, look at some more shit. Yeah.
But what'd you say, Geechee? That's not an endorsement, right?
So, Mike, if you listening, I want you to know I'm not with these two brothers on the screen right now. They don't got enough money for me to care about their problems. So because I'm in solidarity with my brother Mike, I'm gonna read an official statement from Mike. He says, a mutual friend told me I should meet him. So I did. We did no business. I never endorsed him. And if you watch the video, I just looked at some shit he showed me and got up out of there. So I don't know what Jared or Diallo or none of these cats talking about. I just know my brother Mike,
the lames,
is all right.
He said they were going to look at more property.
He said
no. That was acting, brother. You got to know what acting is. I thought you was in drama class when you was in school.
No, I wasn't in drama class. I lettered in theater. I got a varsity letter in theater.
My bad.
Yeah, read my bio, man.
Nobody is surprised. That is the most underwhelming claim ever, or statement of fact ever. But no, he said he did. That wasn't an endorsement. It was just a home run. Oh man, I love it. Oh, good morning, everybody.
So have y'all watched any of those court doc? I mean, read any of those court docs?
Oh, this is great. Diallo Thello. Shout out to Wise the Dome TV. Thanks for having us on. Big shout out.
I never played Othello, but I did play Puck in A Midsummer's Night Dream. That's the only Shakespeare I ever did.
Oh, wow. Okay. Right on.
But this was the 90s. This is when black theater was popping, so no self-respecting theater actor was messing with Shakespeare too tough. That was during the black theater renaissance of the early 90s.
Wow. Right.
But did any of y'all read Caesar's court documents though?
No, I can't. I honestly, I haven't been able to stop laughing long enough
to
wipe the tears out my eyes and read on this Too Tough.
I just listened to the statements, DJ Envy and Big Pun's statement.
Big Pun. Who was calling him Big Pun? Who did that?
Ashley Larry started him.
Ashley
Larry, he started with.
You mean lesser charge?
No, he was with the other one. Well, no, the one who was on the show. He was joking with.
Oh no, that's lesser charge Leonard. I'm sorry.
Lesser charge. But so this is an opportunity where you see our celebrity worship get us got, right? So they scamming us, but he pretty much used what's that guy named? DJ Lesser Charge? No, not DJ as Lesser Charge, DJ Inmate. They use his celebrity to get people to invest, rather it be people with money, people with a little bit of money. But in the court documents, they're not even using Envy's name. They're just saying well-known disc jockey, and they call him Individual A throughout the document, right? And so
but he's not being charged with anything, right? He's
well, not yet.
Cooperating.
Yeah, because he's cooperating, but he's well in play with the game, right? So, for instance, they had a property on Manchester Avenue in Paterson, New Jersey, right? And Caesar paid for this property. He paid $140,000 for this property, right? And he brought that property in April 2019, April 4th, 2019. From July 2019 all the way up to April 2023, he's receiving investments from people to renovate the house, remodel the house, and all these other things. All the way up into from 2019 all the way to 2023. He received $5 million in investments, right? And then once October came, or as of October 16, 2023, he sold that same house for 550 bands. Ain't nobody get their money. So what they doing is they keep doing that. They'll buy a house. They'll convince people that, oh, you can invest in the house, whatever. And there's some people who actually getting into each house, right? There's one guy, they call him Victim Number One. He invests in the first house and he invests in the second house. He ain't getting no money. So they just keep doing that. What they're doing again, so they buy this cheap ass house in the hood, like he did with Killer Mike on Adam's Run, and then they'll tell people through DJ Envy that this is an investment opportunity, and people just keep investing in them. So each time he's getting like $3 million, $6 million off of investments, and nobody's really getting the money.
Well, I did watch his recent live stream, that is Cesar Pena's live stream, where he talked about how Envy is not guilty of anything, how Envy was, though he also said that Envy's recent claim through his lawyer that he himself is a victim, that is Envy, and that he himself, Envy, lost $500,000. Pena says it's not true. He said he was his partner,
right? But
that they had only one lawsuit before Tony the Closer created this storm of controversy, inviting everyone else to come try to get a piece of the lawsuit pie.
Right.
So
Pause.
Like I'm just playing. And all seriously, in all jokes aside, just for a quick second, I don't mean at all to make light of people getting ripped off, even if they are believing in the Ponzi scheme of capital investment. I don't like that Killer Mike's response to his former neighborhood is to go back with investment dreams to try to become an equal opportunity exploiter of his former community.
Right.
I don't like people
Trap landlord.
Yeah, I don't like any of that. So I don't want anybody to mistake my childish humor at enjoying.
But can we say something? Because
go ahead. I just wanted to clear. I just needed to. But
you're a bleeding heart. You're a bleeding heart.
Yes,
we have to know that the people who fell for this scheme were also trying to exploit.
That's exactly what I said.
People who put the money up were also got scammed while they were trying to become slumlords and engaging in slumlord and gentrification and hyper exploitation of depressed communities. And even if you look at their promotional videos where he's standing next to some notable public figure, celebrity, they would go to literally depressed areas. And this is happening. What's going on? What he was doing illegally is happening legally in my community right now. In my community, where the upper end prices, when I first moved into this neighborhood, the high end houses, the most expensive houses, maybe $230,000. And now just 2 weeks ago, $1 million house went on sale just a few blocks from me, and people are being taxed and priced out of their own homes. So these victims are failed victimizers.
So I hear that, but in short, to the extent I'm a bleeding heart, what I am sensitive to, I admit that, is the structural inducement that results in people thinking that further victimization of their fellow community is a pathway to advancement. So that's why so much of my focus has become just that how are these messages being developed and generated? Ultimately, they do emanate from the most white, right, capitally infused segments of society, and are disseminated through Black interlocutors, through Black pundits, news, media, and entertainment as a psychological warfare mechanism. So all I'm saying is I'm just, because of my focus on it, I recognize why people would be invited out of the conditions they're in to think this is a pathway and to think this is acceptable. That said, I do agree with you. They are invited. This is part of what some of my comrades at one point wrote some years ago in the discussion of auto-colonialism. This is how it is performed. But so yeah, that's it.
And as far as their community, if you look at the coverage, these people did not live in they didn't live in Patterson, New Jersey. They didn't live in the slums of Atlanta. These are rich and upper middle class people that lived in Florida.
I thought Flippin' NJ was from the hood in Jersey and went to prison and learned how to do real estate.
They were actually not local people. Many of those investors were from out of town or would be engaged what we call around here absentee landlords. Where much of the real estate that's being bought up here hold lots of land and are being bought sight unseen by foreign investment firms. The landlord game has gone multinational. So many of the investors do not live and do not reside within the state, let alone the community where they were robbed by Caesar Pena. So a lot of this is capitalist on capitalist crime.
But hold on, because like they said, he said he was in his old neighborhood.
Right, but does he live there? That's not his community. My old
it used to be,
not my current community.
He said my old neighborhood.
Look
at what
the
Diallo
power
said.
of prayer and faith.
Not Diallo. I'm sorry. Geechee's a troll. Geechee is a
troll. So that was the thing though. My point was I knew Diallo was going to say that. I knew Diallo was going to say that, but envy.
Let me know when to unmute
is way in. What happened? Oh yeah, like envy is way in.
Let me know when to unmute it.
Okay, Envy is way in, and Killer Mike, as he said, I used to do illegal shit here and sell the drugs and blah blah blah, and now I'm flipping. Like they well in, so I'm very comfortable not calling them victims at this point as well. They might not be at the top of the food chain.
Capitalist crime, right?
And why is Yamanika not on comedy hype as much anymore? Geechee, are you falling into a delay again? Yeah, Yamanika. That's she used to be on. She was on comedy hype as one of her and Pierre. I don't and Capone. I don't see them on there as much anymore. Is it because she was talking trash about our boy here?
You guys see that
because this was funny. This was funny.
Live in a house in New Jersey or some shit like that.
No, I'm not a realtor.
Houses.
I buy houses, I fix them, and I rent them out. I'm not a realtor. I'm trying to encourage people to buy homes and to
You should become a realtor.
Okay, but I'm trying to figure out because then you got the home and you try to make money off the home, and you making money off the home.
Yes, ma'am.
So you selling the homes?
I'm selling rooms or apartments. I'm keeping it.
SROs.
Yeah, I'm keeping it. So
you the slumlord. So you got 4 families worth of niggas living under one roof? Oh my God. Does the government know?
I'm trying to encourage people to buy homes and to invest in themselves so they can always have property instead of continue to rent.
By investing in you and putting money in your pocket. Let's not act like you not making money. I'm just to the point I was making is you making money, right?
I'm doing it the right way without getting got.
But they got to get got by you before they don't get got.
Tell it like it is.
But hey, at the end of that clip is when actually Larry called him Big Pun. He was like,
"Oh, there was more to that. I cut it off early. I didn't mean to do that. Hold on."
He said, "Envy, you still walking around with Big Pun selling houses?"
That's where I heard it. Okay, hold on. That's not funny. Stop it.
I buy houses, I fix them, and I rent them out. I'm not a realtor. I'm trying to encourage people to buy homes and to create.
You should become a realtor.
Okay, but I'm trying to figure out because then you got.
How often do gems like this happen on this show?
Do
I really need to watch it?
Yes, ma'am.
So you selling the homes?
I'm selling rooms or apartments. I'm keeping it.
SROs.
Yeah, I'm keeping it. So
you the slumlord. You got 4 families worth of niggas living under one roof? Oh my God. Does the government know?
I'm trying to encourage people to buy homes and to invest in themselves so they can always have property instead of continue to rent.
By investing in you and putting money in your pocket. Let's not act like you not making money. I'm just to the point I was making is you making money, right?
I'm doing it the right way without getting got.
But they got to get got by you before they don't get got.
He going to jail. He going to jail.
With Caesar. Now, this is the 3-family home that you guys see that we purchased a while ago. And we actually doing something. We're making it bigger. Now, how are we making this bigger now?
Well, right now, the square footage was kind of small. We only had 2 bedrooms. So right now,
son, when I say that, what's the name of it? Pun? No. Will you be out there selling houses with Big Pun, son?
Yo, shout out to Caesar, man.
Every time I see you doing something, you flipping a house in New Jersey or some shit like that.
No, I'm not a realtor.
Houses.
I buy houses, I fix them, and I rent them out. I'm not a realtor. I'm trying to.
But as you can see him, selling the house, and that's what's happened. So again, Caesar, he'll buy a house. So the second house they did was in 2018. He bought that for 225 bands, and then after those commercial where Envy's saying, "Hey, we invest in remodeling," he makes up to $3 million on that. He sells the house. Him and Envy keep the money, and then the people who invest don't get no damn money. So they kept doing that. And you can see Envy obviously know what the fuck he know what he's doing. Envy know exactly what he's doing. He might not can be smooth like Caesar, but he know exactly what he's doing.
No.
Oh.
Geach.
Wait a minute. Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. I got distracted by something in the chat. My apologies. Sorry, go ahead.
Can I tell you something else that should have been a red flag? In all the videos that are trending, because now everybody's going to the archives to pull. Every house is dilapidated. They never show a finished product. It's always a dilapidated house. They about to that they on the verge of. They're about to. You see the when he was with inmate when he's standing there with
Kelly.
What's oh boy, every house is dilapidated.
Right.
We can't have no before and after. We can't have no reality show reveal like the home remodeling show reveals. Why is every property he's standing in front of in a state of dilapidation? Because I think a lot of the work didn't get done.
No,
I think you talk about the finished properties, but many of those properties they didn't even go as far as to rehab them.
But I don't even think those properties that he sold was finished. I think he probably like sold it as is, and maybe made one renovation to it. But also, what I think he was doing
they didn't even flip the houses; they just pocketed the money.
Yeah, but I think what was probably happening real slick by Caesar, they said that he used to like mess up the contract, so they had typographical errors in it, and so the property's address might be wrong and all that other shit, and so when they do get caught, all Caesar got to say is, well, you should have checked the paperwork, the mistake we made. Caesar going to take the money, but the people who invest because of those typographical errors, they ain't going to get their money. And Caesar, in his mind, going to be clear. So, again, them cats know exactly what they was doing. And Envy name is not on the document, but this well-entertained or well-known DJ is on there.
And again, but again, I can't get away from wanting, after the jokes and all of the fun or whatever, or even after some of the serious critique, to be put right back on the table. They are platformed by white wealthy capital to say all of this, to promote all of this, to engage in all of this. Envy has grown up from back when we were listening to his mixtapes to be invited into the most corporate elite media spaces because he will do this and he was taught to do this. So I'm not absolving him. I'm not saying he didn't know what he was doing. I'm not saying he's not a grown man and this, that, and the third, but there is there are inducements to this. There is a structural path or pipeline for this. And if he tried to do anything other than this, maybe other than directly engaging in a scam himself, he would not be there anymore. He would have been long ago replaced. So I think it's a little bit when particularly when some of the more mainstream and liberal faces and forces start being, engaging these issues, they leave that part out and only want to point to the rapper and the DJ and the hustler.
Yeah.
Or in layman's terms, they're bottom feeders. There are people much more powerful, much more influential,
right,
outside of the spotlight that do this shit and get away with it. The only thing worse than a real estate scammer or legitimate real estate multinationals and what they call it, venture capitalists.
Mm-hmm.
That again, like I said, almost like in Hyde Park, a neighborhood, I can't afford to live in here in Chicago. They say almost 70% of the rental properties is owned by one conglomerate.
Yeah.
One multinational conglomerate where a big part of the so-called owners aren't even U.S. citizens. Not that I'm saying, I'm not going ADOS, that foreign interests, but these are not foreign interests. They're not overseas.
No.
Sustenance farmers. These are oil oligarchs and other oligarchical and even national interests outside that never set foot in the United States, that own big swaths of land and again rental properties here. So it's insane that they're getting in trouble because the kind of shit you can get away with illegally is obscene. So like, goddamn, just
so
the kind of.
I think we focus on Umar not returning people money or the product, but Caesar is damn near worse than Umar. Like he been doing it for four damn years. But also like, so
at least with Umar, if you go to an Umar lecture outside of the homo transphobia and the patriarchy and some of that stuff, you will get some gems on the pathway to the grift.
No. Dr. Fubar is far more worse.
But
I think
you're probably right. You're right.
Yeah,
because he's rebranding Revolution. You're right.
And he's scamming. He's scamming people. That's Caesar scamming some people with some money.
That's right.
But also I want to say this, like,
it ain't just about the money. It's about the ideology. I think it is more obscene to being a bottom feeder slumlord is pretty much on the surface. They never, even though DJ Envy had some weak rhetoric about, oh, he's trying to help other people get rich. I think it's less offensive to lie about helping somebody get rich than lie about helping somebody get liberated.
You're right. You're right.
Well, we got to give Killer Mike or Cully Mike some credit before we get off of Cully Mike.
And he is a good orator. But I did want to say real quick, I'm sorry, before we leave this topic, because Diallo raised something that I'm literally experiencing here in these tree-lined streets at the Hickory Ridge Village Board and the Howard County I forgot the exact name, but the Howard County group struggling for rent stabilization. And there's a conflict because colleagues on my board don't want to support this group trying to advocate for rent stabilization. And my namesake, no relation, Dr. Calvin Ball, has just proposed a bill that's going to do a lesser version of what this group more radically wants to, impose to protect working people and poor people who have seen rent increases as high as I've seen reported 47% in 1 year. Can you imagine that? 47% in 1 year rent increase. And all of it, to Diallo's point, all of it is not all of it, a good portion of it involves on the shopping center side, the ownership outside of this area by Kimco Corporation. And I think some of the resistance to this rent stabilization, I think, although I'm still very new to this issue and the details of it, it feels like there is a parallel in a relationship between elite owners of property not necessarily wanting or needing to live in this area, maintaining control over that property and determining who is able to afford to live in that property, and having no government oversight protecting people who would eventually be the renters in that property. So it's maybe not a perfect connection, but it does feel a lot like there's some similarity there. But it's just a game played at a higher level relative to the folks we're talking about here. All right, thank you for that. Go ahead, Geechee.
So what I was saying is against what Diallo accused Cully Mike of doing, of not supporting someone unless he get money, he did join some other celebrities and make a statement against Palestine, but he doing it in a ceasefire way. So there's a Killer Mike in celebrity statement, and then there's a no name in celebrity statement. No name statement is way more situated than Killer Mike's one.
You mean No Name the rapper?
Yeah, No Name the rapper and some other people. They talk about the 75-year history. Although Killer Mike is, I think I can give you a link real quick. But although Killer Mike is, although Killer Mike is only asking for ceasefire, No Name goes with ceasefire and some other stuff that goes more into the history of occupied Palestine. But
wait, all right, here I got it. So wait a minute. Are you saying that Killer Mike has come out with a statement on Palestine?
Well, he's signed a statement that's already written by some other celebrities that only calls for a ceasefire. So his is a little bit more liberal, or a lot more liberal than the one that No Name signed. But he did put his name on something that is saying that there needs to be a ceasefire in that region.
You ain't got no links though.
Man, I'm struggling with computer links, but I'll get them. Hold on.
All right, No Name, Black Thought, Questlove, Young Guru, and more signed Palestine solidarity letter. The Musicians for Palestine solidarity statement also includes signatures from Bun B, Diggable Planets, Royce da 5'9", and others. Over 600 musicians signed a letter vocalizing solidarity with the people of Palestine as they continue to face institutionalized discrimination from Israel. The Musicians for Palestine solidarity statement has been signed by No Name, Black Thought, Questlove, Young Guru, Run the Jewels. So they're on the same statement, and hundreds of other artists. So it seems like this is the same statement. We're calling on our peers to publicly assert their solidarity with the Palestinian people. Complicity with Israeli war crimes is found in silence, and today silence is not an option. A part of the statement reads, we call for you to join us with your name in refusing to perform at Israel's complicit cultural institutions and by standing firm in your support for the Palestinian people and their human right to sovereignty and freedom. We believe that this is crucial to one day live in a world without segregation and apartheid. The statement concludes. The letter is in its entirety can be read here. Hold up. So hold up.
So I just sent a link to the other one because I didn't see Run the Jewels on it.
It says right here, Run the Jewels.
Yeah, I'm saying I didn't see him on the initial one.
So we got to acknowledge, on that one, if that statement holds in its entirety, we would have to I think we would have to acknowledge that on this one he did hit a home run. Can we be fair? Are we being fair?
Sure.
I would like to read that whole statement. The link I was just reading from on OK Player, the link to where they said the actual statement was failed. So I'm gonna try to pull that up in a second. But here is the one you just sent. Dua Lipa, Caroline Polachek, Michael Stipe, Killer Mike, and more urge Biden to call for a ceasefire in Gaza. Dozens of high-profile entertainment figures have signed an open letter urging President Joe Biden to call. Let me just read the letter. I don't need to read. Why do we need to read the I don't need to read. I'm a primary sources intellect. Here we go. Dear President Biden, and it should, if we're being honest, it should start by saying, Dear President Biden, after we have already voted for you and pledged to vote for you again, we come together as excuse me. All right. All fairness. Dear President Biden, we come together as artists and advocates, but most importantly as human beings witnessing the devastating loss of lives and unfolding horrors in Israel and Palestine. We ask that as President of the United States, you and the U.S. Congress call for an immediate de-escalation and ceasefire in Gaza and Israel before another life is lost. More than 5,000 people have been killed in the last week and a half, a number any person of conscience knows is catastrophic. We believe all life is sacred, no matter faith or ethnicity, and we condemn the killing of Palestinian and Israeli civilians. We urge your administration, Congress, and all world leaders to honor all of the lives in the Holy Land and call for and facilitate a ceasefire without delay, an end to the bombing of Gaza, and the safe release of hostages. Half of Gaza's 2 million residents are children, and more than 2/3 are refugees and their descendants being forced to flee their homes. Humanitarian aid must be allowed to reach them. Okay, it's almost over. We believe that the United States can play a vital diplomatic role in ending the suffering, and we are adding our voices to those from the U.S. Congress, UNICEF, Doctors Without Borders, the International Committee of the Red Cross, and so many others. Saving lives is a moral imperative. To echo UNICEF, compassion and international law must prevail. As of this writing, more than 6,000 bombs have been dropped on Gaza in the last 12 days, resulting in, I'm not able to read that part, but there's said that UNICEF spokesperson James Elder is saying the Palestinians, looks like it says, are going to run out of water, electricity, medicine, and safe access to hospitals following days of airstrikes and cuts to all supply routes. Gaza's sole power plant ran out of fuel Wednesday afternoon, shutting down electricity, water, and wastewater treatment. Most residents can no longer get drinking water from service providers or household water through pipelines. The humanitarian situation has reached lethal lows, and yet all reports point to further attacks. Compassion and international law must prevail. History is watching, they conclude.
So I don't know why. Well, again, the one I was looking at, and I
Weak
saw
booty.
I
Weak
saw the
booty.
actual I saw the actual statement, and I didn't even see Run the Jewels. So it's interesting that Run the Jewels is on that one, but Killer Mike himself is on the other one. So I wonder if Run the Jewels even split on the situation.
But that ceasefire. Can we say that ceasefire is a fallacy? Can we say that ceasefire is a fallacy? That's akin to starting a Stop the Violence campaign.
Yeah.
And saying that Nat Turner and the plantation owners should all stop the violence.
Ceasefire. Yeah.
I think that is a warp. I think
so let me just ask this: if the tactic is said to be that the only way to stop Israel from bombing is to call for a general ceasefire, does that not make any? Does that mean anything? Make any difference?
No, that makes absolutely no difference. And here's why. Simply go to your favorite search engine and look up mowing the grass. Look up Israel mowing the grass. A ceasefire means return to the status quo. And the status quo is genocide. So when you're calling for a ceasefire, it also in the connotation that there are two equal parties or two somewhat equal parties engaged in shooting back and forth. I think that it was only appropriate to call for a unilateral ceasefire of Israel to stop the attack. To say that, the two sides should stop fighting. It's simply calling for a ceasefire, going back to the
No, but that's what I'm asking. That tactically, the argument I've seen, I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm saying that's what I'm asking. The tactic is that if they call for is specifically Israel to stop, the idea is it won't work. So that's why there's this idea that it has to be a blanket call for a ceasefire, so that they can get Israel. That's the only way that they can get Israel to stop, is to say everybody has to stop.
I think it would be more appropriate to call for a stop arms shipment.
It's not about appropriate. I'm just saying that the tactic is what I'm asking about, not the accuracy of the analysis.
Well, if asking for $5 will be as futile as asking for 50 million, why not ask for the 50 million? If you're going to make a request,
don't get ahead of the run sheet. Don't speed us through the run sheet.
But no, I think the call for a ceasefire allows liberals to feign concern and to demonstrate a level of so-called support for humanitarian efforts, while literally calling for, hey, we want to return to the status quo, because the ceasefire means let's return to the status quo. And the status quo is genocide. The only reason we're talking about Palestine is not because there's genocide in Gaza and the West Bank. The only reason we're talking about Israel now is because the victims of genocides have resisted the genocide. Like right now, there's an ongoing genocide against Native peoples in the United States as we speak.
Mm-hmm.
But then if the Native populations, if AIM, the American Indian movement, ran to a federal Leavenworth prison to liberate Leonard Peltier and bring him up out of there, and there were some civilian casualties in that effort, we would all start talking about the conflict between Native Americans and the United States. But the status quo, background, unacknowledged fact is this is a genocidal campaign. And we're only talking about it because the victims of genocide have made some noise.
So Diallo,
genocide is the status quo that allows everybody to return to their bases, return to their comfortable lives and their blissful ignorance.
So you sound like maybe one of your followers who now watch our show. And I sent the link to my page, but he says that African people are wasting too much time talking about this Palestine situation. We got all other stuff to talk about. Would you agree?
Who you talking about, man? Name the names.
His name Richard. Richard, I don't know.
Oh, that dude. Yeah.
Sheffield.
Sheffield.
Yeah.
So Would you agree that we are wasting too
Yeah,
much
well,
time talking instead of talking about things that are more important?
I disagree with that. I think that again, I just disagree with that trope that to me it seems like we are under the impression that white folks only have like white folks who are the arbiters of justice and resources have this limited amount of justice and resources they can dole out. So calling for justice in one struggle, in one region of the world, or within one movement, or calling for justice for one people means you're going to deplete the justice bank for others. So, or to talk about Palestine is to diminish Haiti, or to call for Palestine is to diminish the Congo. When all these conflicts are interrelated and the same global war machine, the same global economic system, the same global political white hegemons are pretty much the key actors and the source for all of this upheaval. So I think that for people to allow themselves to be pigeonholes, for Black people in the United States, where they talk about the money that goes to Israel or the attention that pays to Israel somehow takes resources or attention away from other struggles. That's not how it works. That's just not how it works. And again, we're not speaking on this because the Palestinians are dying. Now we're speaking on this because the Palestinians said, listen, we're not going to be the only ones to die in this. That's what makes it. That's what makes it an issue.
But you know why people are confused on this question, right?
You just don't read, beloved.
Why is that?
And I have to say this too, to a lot of these people.
Hiram got the answer for that question too. Go ahead.
I brought on Friends of the Congo on my own show, and it got less than a quarter of what my normal views get. You know, I brought on people to talk about the Sierra Leone, and it got when I do go international, or if I do a write-up on the Congo, if I did a whole write-up on the e-waste going to sub-Saharan Africa, but you put Jada Pickett in anything, you know, you get more of a response. So a lot of these people flinging the accusations are engaged in what I think is projection. Like when Dr. Fubar, and even here that a lot of people in Chicago all of a sudden became hyper-focused on the homeless situation when they found out that resources were being given to the Venezuelan refugees that are being, shipped here from Texas, from the Texas-Mexico border. And all of a sudden, these people who I've been in this city for over a decade and ain't had nothing to say about homeless, all of a sudden, like, what about Black homeless people, when they found out that the city council was trying to budget resources for the refugees? So to me, that's just a weird mindset, to me, a warped mindset about justice and freedom.
So I remember maybe a month ago, the comrade from Philly, when Mama Torre, she was in solidarity with people in Chinatown for not the new stadium or the new basketball stadium not being built. And people was on my post talking about, like, they don't stand with us. Like, why would you even be interested in them or whatever, right? And she was saying that it's a principle stand against the stadium being built there. But not only that, policing will come to the area that harm Black folks. And not only that, the highway in which and the reroute of traffic in which they will do will hurt a Black community, prevent them from going to the work and things like that. And so seeing the long game of what's happening is more important. And then on top of that, one of the things that I was looking at was the All African People's Revolutionary Party statement, how they say they unequivocally condemn the 75 years of Israel settled colonialism. As we have consistently pointed out, Zionism is racism. These same Zionist forces train the police and military in Africa and around the world to repress dissent and by oppressed and exploited people. Israel is also a generator of imperialist access to Africa's vast material resources. So apart from that statement, I think people are in the U.S. hearing the Cop City arguments and all this other stuff, but they don't believe that a Gaza can happen in the U.S. Like they don't believe that these people could pretty much contain a group of African people and start picking them off at any point. They think in 2023 that can't happen. It's not possible, which is to me really frustrating. But I did ask this question in a group chat. I want to ask y'all right quick. When y'all look at history, right? How do you define engage history, and how do you think it relates? And I'm asking the question because sometimes I feel like when we look at things that happen in history, we believe, I guess we separate ourselves as if in the future somebody can't say like this person was a coward because they ain't did shit, or this person did these things. Like how do y'all like engage history and kind of like explain its relevancy?
I mean, I don't think I understand the question. I'm not really.
So right now we're in obviously like it's always historical times, right? So the things that we do and say, the positions that we take will be recorded just as well as the people in the past, their decisions and things was recorded. And sometimes we oversimplify like why King didn't stand on this principle or why this person didn't do these things. And today, some of us are doing literally the same things in terms of what we standing on, what we fighting for and not. And so just like we can look at the past history and say who did and didn't do stuff, in the future, there's going to be people that can say, okay, this person ain't did shit, or this person was on, like Kalanji always say, standing on the wrong or the right side of the barricade. So I guess my question is like, when you think of history, like how would you explain history, how you engage in, and then its relevancy till today?
I think history is warped because history is presented to us as great individual. And I just have to say it, great men and massive events. I think history really ignores that several radical historians have articulated that history is made by the masses of the people, and the masses of the people are the engines of history. So we see the grand marches, we see the grand battles, we see the grand speeches, but we don't see, as Dr. John Henry Clark would talk about, people sitting around the kitchen table, people sitting around places where there aren't megaphones, where there aren't cameras, where there aren't big named individuals who really are the engine and drivers of history. So I think the average person really doesn't understand that they are really a component and the true driver of history. And we hear so much talk about the lack of Black leaders or the corruption of Black leaders because we think that history will be directed and guided by some grand individual rising up amongst us or from us, and even the fallacy of a Black Messiah or some other great individual. So I think one of the biggest problems with history as it is taught or presented to us is mass grand events and great individuals, as opposed to showing the emerging of an organic movement of the masses of the people and the fundamental shifts in the thinking and the tolerance of the masses. So and that's why I often appreciate, but I think it's unfair that he gets credit for writing a people's history of the United States. Howard Zinn, I think he popularized the term of people's history, but there are many, especially Black radical historians, who were engaged in articulating people's histories, going into the even Zora Neale Hurston, when she was going into the rural Confederate states and rural Dixieland and getting the oral history of enslaved Africans. So, African historians and African journalists had been doing people's history long before, Howard Zinn, but I do, appreciate him for making that popular. So all history is people's history. And these grand figures can sometimes help orient us in history or identify a particular point in history, but history is going to be made by us, our action and our inaction.
But working backwards from that last point that you just made, I think not to defend Zen and that wing of scholarship, but to be fair to Zen, the whole point of his book, A People's History, was to call out and point to the work of the scholars you're talking about. So his work is I was going to say littered, but I don't like that. I don't want to use that term. It is
saturated.
It is chock full of references to all of those scholars. He doesn't properly cite them, which is part of the reason why the Academy was able to marginalize him, but he does reference them and reference their work. So, and certainly in lectures he did all the time as well. But to your point, this is the quick outline I just put together to answer Geechee's question is sort of speaks to why I think what we're trying to do here on this show and this platform more broadly is so important, because so much of what we are being encouraged to see is the frame and the analytical frame for how we should interpret the world and move on it is done just so that we won't be able to become the threat to the United States that Gazans and Palestinians are to Israel. So, for instance, whether we are, and Diallo, I'm just going to mute you for a second because the echo was a little bit, just the banging on the mic. So when we whether it's Du Bois talking about the propaganda of history, he described all history as being a mechanism of propaganda specifically designed in this case to make sure Black people would have no understanding of the world, and the radical internationalism that both of you were just talking about as being so important. That's why I think I like what Diallo just said a moment ago. I like what Hiram said on the show the other day about why Black and brown people should be in solidarity with Palestinians and why that's important to understand. But this is a part what Du Bois was talking about it's funny that you mentioned Zen, because the next note I had made was that at I remember being at a lecture where in grad school where Zen was speaking, and he said that omission is worse than lying. And I think about that all the time, because he said if you lie, you at least leave breadcrumbs for people to follow up on and learn the truth. But when you just omit something, people don't even have that to go from. And I think, by the way, I think that's being challenged with the sophistication of propaganda and delivery today. But in general, I like that point. But that he said, but the point would be that in specific to today's question, omitted are all of the histories of radical internationalism, armed struggle, so on and so on and so forth, that again are meant to prevent us from becoming the threat that Gazans are to Israel. And then the third point that I just thought of just off the fly was what Paula Giddings, because we were just talking about this in my class the other day, what Paula Giddings has been saying about Ida B. Wells for so long, that one of the reasons, aside from gender and some other political purposes, political reasons, one of the reasons that Wells is not even more appreciated is that she was not conferred upon us by white society, as were even the leaders of the day that are more prominently given attention, namely the aforementioned Du Bois and Frederick Douglass, Giddings would point to. So by omitting and reducing and limiting what we know about Ida and people like that, we are limited in what our analysis of today will be and what then our actions will end up becoming. So those are that was my short, quick outline response to that.
So also like and I tagged you on, because I mean, as we were reading the book Black Power in Palestine, it sent me down a rabbit hole to Black Power Revolt. And again, you're seeing John Johnson again being the John Johnson that he's been. But even back then, it was talking about how for over the last 40 years, the radical Black folks have been out propagandized by the right using the Black misleadership class. And so that's been a thing that's been consistent. So if it can happen 75 years ago, how confident should you be in 2023 saying Black folks don't need to worry about Palestine, which all of the revolutionary people that you supposedly celebrate on your page was clear.
Well, can you contextualize what we're looking at here, and then
so on that
maybe?
Yeah, on that, that's a statement. Well, that's a paragraph from a book called The Black Power Revolt that was written in 1968. And they were pretty much talking about the Negro leadership. Their voice of support for Israel has been put on a stage, put in the media, and highlighted more so than those who are pro Palestine, anti-Zionist, because they're being reduced or reductively speaking.
And who's the they?
Say that again.
Who is the they? Who wrote this? Who are we talking about?
So this actually, I think it's a couple authors in the book. I think it's a compilation of different written things, but I think the main author is
and what's the name of the book?
Black Power Revolt. Hoyt W. Fuller. I think
right,
he was
Hoyt Fuller.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm trying to just find it real quick. Please, folks, even on social media, put citations on the posts. Come on, man. Come on, man. You're not gonna send me no links. Are you, Geechee, are you going to read what's on there? Because or did you want it read? Because I think it would be nice if folks, because I don't know if everybody can see it. And so is this in Building the Black Arts Movement? Did we lose Geechee?
No, I'm here.
I'm trying to find where this comes from, because I would love to get the context for what we're about to share on the screen. That's what I'm trying to do right now, just so we're clear. And if you're able to point to me to that would be great.
It comes from the book, the Black Power Revolt.
Mm-hmm.
And
because when I put that in with Hoyt Fuller, what I get is Building the Black Arts Movement, Hoyt Fuller, and I get Jonathan Fenderson's book, my man, Building the Black Arts Movement, Hoyt Fuller, and the Cultural Politics of the 60s. Was this in that book? Because I don't remember that part, but that doesn't mean anything.
Hold on, I got the link up.
This is Earn Your Liberation here on Black Power Media. This is high level production quality. Don't let that stop you from sharing and subscribing and joining and supporting the platform, blackpowermedia.org for Patreon.
So my bad. He was just one of it's the Black Power Revolt, a collection of essays. And Floyd B.
Can you send me
Barber. Yeah, I'm about to send the link of the book.
Because
man, I already told you I'm struggling with my computer, so put.
Well, but I'm saying, but that's why I'm advocating. But
in the chat,
that's why I would advocate.
I said,
that's why I would
video.
Advocate put. Well, but again, Geechee, I'm asking you, pull up what video, from what, where. You like, I mean, I understand you're struggling with your computer, but I don't have the link. I don't know what you mean. I don't have what you're wanting
when
us to look at.
When I send the link to Instagram, you said which video? I said the third video, the panel with Bria.
Right, but then you pulled this up. But then you started talking about this. So this is not the same thing, is it?
Well, all three of them has to do with Palestine, and the context is the statement of we're talking too much about Palestine.
No, I understand the context. What I'm saying is what I'm just trying to get clear on what we're talking about. So when I pulled up that Instagram, I just wanted the source. That was it. That's why I was advocating that the source be put in the original post, and then people don't have to struggle and be confused, because I don't know what it is we're reading. And then you said but you had previously said show the other video, but then I thought you started talking about this post right here, because you were saying something about propaganda, right? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So which would you like me to show? Let's start there.
That's all right. We can move on. I was just
no. I don't want to move on. All of this is dope. I'm trying to just get clear on what you want to show.
What I was saying was
we're talking about. I don't understand what the issue is. Geechee, just tell me, dude. I'm like, So we were looking at a quote that I thought you wanted us to read, and then I didn't know if you wanted it read or if you were actually going to read it. Then I'm asking, where is it coming from? Now you're saying it's coming from this book here, because I'm not familiar with this book. So I just wanted to know what it was. There's no description. All you said in the Instagram post is that it was written in 1968.
Right. So all I was saying something about that, but when I sent you the link, all I was talking about was play the clip of the sisters speaking on the panel. That's all I was talking about. And I was just saying was.
But I promise you, if I pulled up the chat right now and showed everybody, it doesn't say what you just said. But that's fine. I'll do that. I will happily. So I'm gonna pull up your Instagram and I'm gonna go to the third panel and I'm gonna play the video. And then I won't ask you about what I thought you wanted us to read, because it was, So this right here, you want me to play this?
Yeah, just a small clip. Yeah.
A litmus test. This is wrong, right? June Jordan always says somebody has got to do something about the way this world is set up. This is wrong. So activism is not issue specific. It's a moral posture, steady state, propels you forward from one hand hour to the next, believing that you can do something to make things better. You do something rather than nothing. You assume responsibility for the privileges of your abilities. You do whatever you can. You reach beyond yourself in your imagination, and in your wish for understanding and for change, you admit to the limitations of individual perspectives. You trust someone else. You do not turn away. This conversation is really beautiful, but the part of it that I can't let us ignore is like the amount of Black feminists who have turned away in this moment. They turned away from being anti-empire, from being anti-war. Somewhere down the line, we said that outside of the US was not as important. And we said that we will propel and like give way to Democrats or to funders and to all these other things. And we said that's more important than our solidarity with the rest of the world, whether it be the Middle East or it be Haiti or it be anywhere else. And I really feel like, when did we lose our strong stance against empire? When did we say that that was the place in our Black feminist politics that we could concede? I want the next wave of faces of empire to not be Black women. We're not supposed to be turning away, like June Jordan said. We have a moral obligation to bear witness to what is happening in Palestine right now. We don't get to just turn it off and go worry about our struggles here. Bearing witness is a Black feminist praxis. It's the type of faith that you have to believe you will be free, produces a type of resistance that cannot be tamed. And so when I think about what they did to spark this moment, those people thought that they could have a festival in front of an open air prison, in front of a concentration camp. And the people of Palestine say, absolutely not. No, you cannot. No, you cannot have a spectacle in front of us. My Black feminist politic is that I refuse to denounce any resistance effort of the Palestinian people. That if I'm going to say that I am uplifting June Jordan's also the one who said, y'all know the police poem, but go read what she said, right? If we uplifting June Jordan, we know what she was really saying, right? And so I think there's a level of honoring this, that I will never let the US government or the Israeli government or any empire tell me who my enemies are. And for me, solidarity means I refuse their language, I refuse their praxis, I refuse their propaganda, and I refuse their perspective. I stand with Palestine unequivocally, without a doubt. I will not denounce any method that they find necessary to resist their occupation. The Palestinian people including the Afro-Palestinian people, are a part of resistance efforts right now that have made a mockery of the United States government, and I love that. It's a level of cherry picking that I think happens when the right funders infiltrate your movement. Like, I just can't act as if that's not something that's hovering over the silence that is happening right now. The funders love the version of Audre Lorde that is, your silence will not protect you. They love that, right? The funders love that. And that's cool to put on a quote. That's cool to have in wherever your office is located. You're in Northwest DC, and that's cool to put a quote on the wall. But I think really reckoning with power in a way that threatens the state is something that a lot of people don't want to do. And of course, yes, there are actual real risk assessments to this, right? Like, I'm not going to pretend as if this is not something that could actually bring danger to your life. But I think that when we get into the cherry pickings of Black feminisms, that can't be divorced from a real conversation about when our movement became a very careerist one. Right, this might get a little spicy. There is a difference between Black women who are doing particular forms of gender justice work versus Black women who identify as Black feminists. And I think we really need to start paying attention to some of those differences, right? There's a difference between I work at this organization that is concerned with what's happening to Black women in Baltimore versus I identify with the legacy and the mandates of radical Black feminism. A lot of these people are not concerned with that latter. Don't denounce our resistance. Don't denounce Hamas, because that's US propaganda, right? They're asking us for very specific things. And I think that solidarity means that those things are important. They're more important than how I feel. They're more important than me not understanding the full political terrain of it. But those are the demands, right? And I think that that's what I want the solidarity to look like. We're already assuming the risk, so let's assume it, right? Let's assume it. And so when I say that Palestine will be free, I will not make you comfortable and talk about a two-state solution. I will not make you comfortable and denounce Hamas so you can feel better. I will unapologetically say Palestine has to be free by any means necessary. We have to bring back Black feminist courage because why not? And so I know just alone by what I've said on this call, it's a couple of people that are going to call me Monday like, girl, that consulting contract, we can't work with you no more. And that is okay. That is okay if it means that immediate ceasefire might happen because I countered some propaganda on this call. And that for me is my hope for solidarity. I'm willing to lose a lot if it means that Palestinian people and the Middle Eastern people can be free. What we're talking about are people who are inundated with a very particular empire-serving Black feminist US-based praxis. And we gotta start separating ourselves from those kinds of people, because then we have this tension where we thought we were all coming to the table to stand with Palestine, and we're at this table like, oh, this is not important to you? Oh, okay. Palestine is a moral litmus test.
Was that the end?
Yeah, that's it.
So you don't let us hear the rest of the panelists?
Well, the rest of the panelists was kind of weak, and especially your sister Angie Davis, who use words like Hamas and condemning Hamas, and kind of like Diallo was saying, like the language, and I'm glad that Rhea did that, and she did it in a way that wasn't disrespectful. I don't think. I don't know if she felt disrespected, but she corrected Angie Davis, and Angie Davis was shaking her head and sometimes looking starry-eyed, but it is what it is.
No, I thought that was strong. Yeah. Very strong. Is that it?
Yeah, I mean, if
Diallo
has something, go ahead.
The only thing I wanted to add to this part is from Electronic Intifada yesterday. Did you all see this stuff? where they showed they were talking about the woman
85 and who was living in
one of the Jewish
in a kibbutz near the Gaza border, and so she's being handed over to the Red Cross, and now
hostages.
she turns around, pauses, shakes the hand of the
I just want to show that again real quick. I thought this was
living.
This is a little joyful right here.
Couple of things, John, including going back to something we talked about last week for a lady of that age. But then she talks about being taken into a spider web.
I wanted to show that. Dang, my bad, because this actually gets to the point that you got to just a minute ago.
Of course, we had the
Geechee.
On Monday night, we had the release of 2 elderly Israeli women from Gaza. They were returned home, Yochefet Lifshitz and Nurit Cooper. And there was this extraordinary scene, this video. This is the video that was released by Qassam showing their release. And then, they're given tea and so on. But then there's this extraordinary moment where that's Yocheved Lifshitz, who's 85 and who is living in a kibbutz near the Gaza border. And so she's being handed over to the Red Cross, and she turns around, pauses, shakes the hand of the Qassam fighter and says shalom to him. And that video, of course, is now quite famous and caused a lot of in Israel. Then she gave a press conference, John, on Tuesday from the Ichilov Hospital in Tel Aviv, where she was examined. And she was asked, this has now been widely reported. She said that it was very frightening being taken prisoner and being carried on the back of a motorcycle, and it was extremely painful. And it sounds like an absolutely horrifying experience, particularly for a lady of that age. But then she talks about being taken into a spider web of tunnels. We'll just hold on to that for a second, Tamara. She says a spider web of tunnels and a big hall as part of this tunnel network. We'll come back to that. Just hold that thought. But then, Tamara, come back to that video where she was asked why she shook the hand of that fighter. This is what she says. Go ahead, play it. Let's play it.
Why did you shake the hand of that Hamas terrorist when you were passed over to the Red Cross?
Why they say they treated us gently and they provided for all our needs.
אמא שלי אומרת שהם התייחסו אליהם בעדינות וסיפקו את כל הצרכים שלהם. My mom is saying that they treat them kindly and provided for them.
Yeah. So that I think that's.
So for me, in addition to that little bit of the news, to the point that Geechee, you raised a minute ago about the comparisons and what the sister was saying and what I was impressed by is, as I'm interpreting it in this moment, is a level of political consciousness and preparedness. So when she makes reference, and then in that episode from yesterday in Electronic Intifada, when after that segment, they go into an in-depth discussion of the point that she raised about the spider web of tunnels and the latest claims from Netanyahu that Israel's ready to on their time frame invade Palestine with ground troops and go in, and they're ready for that tunnel warfare. And Qassam and others are inviting them, saying, welcoming them with propaganda videos of their own, saying, come on into the tunnels. And they get into it. I admit a lot of ignorance on this particular subject, but they went from the discussion of the tunnels. Again, think about what a spider web actually looks like. And, they said like 1,300, I think was the number of pathways and splinter and forcing, just like the Maroons back in the day, forcing more powerful armies to go through single file columns, where the Palestinians have control over the communications down there. They have an independent cell phone system, whereas the Israelis don't. They would be down there in darkness without communication, without this, that, and the third. All of this existing underneath all of even the rubble of the buildings, making, again, the fact of the rubble of the buildings, in this sense, a tactical advantage to the Palestinians, oddly enough. So when I think about, obviously, we talk a lot around here about George Jackson and what he was arguing for. And when I try to think about the levels of political clarity and organization it would take for Black America to get to the point of where these Gazans are, it's a different level of, and a different form of repression. But B, and this is, I'll stop here, but this is the point and why so much of my own work, and why, again, I think what we're trying to do here is so important, is that unlike what George had to deal with, given, in this case, the tactical advantage of being incarcerated, and in this case, the tactical advantage of the overt abuse suffered by Palestinians, what we suffer as a tactical disadvantage is the most highly sophisticated propaganda system in world history that does often specifically target Black people here in the United States for a version, as Du Bois said, of history and analytical understanding and framing that prevents us from even raising the questions of how else can we struggle, and why we end up having people say the only form of struggle I can see other than just quitting is flipping houses and taking advantage of the person next to me. I'll stop there. Diallo, I think you're muted. Hold on a second. Sorry, my bad. Go ahead. Now hold on. You're sorry. Go ahead.
I think that I think the picture is bleaker than what you say, because where you say, people say, well, we either have to surrender or try to, more aggressive economic integration after, living through the failures of political, social, cultural integration. We just find another rebranding of integration. But I think it's worse than that, because there are a number of armed factions within our community, armed militant factions in our community. Black presence in the so-called prepper community is relatively high. But the problem is that their ideology, many of these armed Black factions have reactionary and right-wing ideology and modes. So it's not that we don't have Black people who anticipate or even are enthusiastic about armed struggle against our oppressors in their various manifestations. I think the bigger problem here is we have to understand, with the Palestinian movement, it didn't just emerge from I always reference this book, Gorillas by S.E. Anderson. I believe he was an author, but yeah, and he talks about, prior to the Intifada, within the occupied territories, there was high levels of so-called Palestinian on Palestinian violence. And many of, as when a community does come under colonial occupation or repression, and the system starts to construct the slum or ghettoization of a people, and many of the problems we associate with the slums and the ghettos. So before they got armed, before they created networks, before they articulated any of that, an ideology was developed. They harnessed the frustration, the rage, the despair, and politicized and radicalized it. So it's not even that, our guns right now, my community is saturated with some of the highest quality weapons and you can imagine. And those weapons are either for exploitation, further exploitation and predation on our community, or defense against exploitation and predation. So, I wish it was just either secure the bag or surrender. But there is a third option, and I say this all the time, in their efforts to violently repress and exploit the black masses, the white race has more black allies than enemies. So there is that third option. The weapons are here, the anger is here, the militancy is here, the willingness to shoot and engage in violence is here. It just hasn't been infused with black radical leftist, far leftist ideology. That's what we're missing. We're not missing the weapons, and we're not even missing the will to fight, and we're sure ain't missing the will to die. We're missing the black radical ideology.
Again, that's why so much of my focus is on the propaganda and the political consciousness. Yeah, so right on. So your point as it relates to mine, home run. But
Mike.
But Geechee, are you even still there?
Yes, I'm here. I'm letting y'all do y'all thing. Well, do you summon me? What would you like me to do now, Dr. Ball?
Wow.
What would I like you to do?
That's a wildcat. He's goddamn.
Make a bare minimum contribution, my man.
Bare minimum. Bare minimum. Oh,
that's what I'm
wow.
you sitting. No, I'm saying you sitting there being quiet, acting like we're waiting for you to be summoned. What are you talking about? What
I was letting y'all
there,
talk. What you mean being quiet? What you talk about? Diallo was quiet sipping his tea, and I wanted Diallo to talk. I mean, Diallo is very excited because I hate to spill the beans, or the bean pie, but Diallo is joining the NOI. He's helping Farrakhan fight.
Oh yeah,
he's helping Farrakhan fight the ADL. They're gonna get a Billy. 5 Billy. Well, it's 4 point. It's 4 point something, but it's still rounded
with
up.
Fees and penalties.
Hey, but listen,
I'm ready to join the nation now. I'd like to retract everything I ever said about the con man. I mean the minister. Yeah, we about to get it.
So ironically, there's this as Farrakhan being African American or Black Muslim going in front of a white judge who's a Catholic trying to sue white people who are Jews. This is going to be historical.
Justice is blind. You talking about?
All right. Good luck.
So that is the headline. Minister Louis Farrakhan of the Nation of Islam is to sue the Anti-Defamation League and SWC, the Simon Wiesenthal Center, for defamation over anti-Semitic label on 28th anniversary of the Million Man March, which took place on October 16th, 2023. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam have filed a lawsuit against the Anti-Defamation League, its CEO Jonathan Greenblatt recently on the Black Breakfast Club, the Simon Wiesenthal Center, and Rabbi Abraham Cooper of the Wiesenthal Center. The lawsuit has been brought before the federal court of the Southern District of New York, alleging First Amendment violations and defamation. For over 4 decades, the defendants have labeled Minister Farrakhan and the NOI as anti-Semites and anti-Semitic based on theological differences in Minister Farrakhan's critiques of some Jewish community members, among other issues. This labeling has impacted Minister Farrakhan's mission to address African-American spiritual, mental, and moral struggles due to historical oppression. The lawsuit asserts that the false characterization has also affected various public figures, including Nelson Mandela, President Jimmy Carter, Reverend Jesse Jackson, Bishop Desmond Tutu, and others whom the defendants have similarly labeled. Hold on, and Diallo, I gotta mute the mic. When you move around, it's just so much. The case is seen as significant in defending all Americans' freedom of speech, religious practice, and association. Minister Farrakhan will provide further insight into the lawsuit at an upcoming press conference, highlighting the importance of protecting the principles embedded in the First Amendment of the Constitution. So
the question is,
we're about to get that bag.
Yeah, but
the number wasn't reported. Sorry to cut you off. I think it was 4.8 billion. It was the official number, right?
Yeah. But is this tactical? Is this timely? Because I was looking up Abdul Arif Muhammad Sr., who's his lawyer, who's in Baltimore and DC, and they've been dealing with this since at least 1995 during this HUD situation where the Nation of Islam their contracts was being exposed to see.
Are you saying the Nation of Islam had federal contracts?
Wait, slow down, brother. Slow down,
with
brother.
the devil?
Wait, slow down, brother. All I'm saying is people who are part of the Nation of Islam had contracts with HUD, and then Islam became on trial, shall I say. But anyway, since 1995, they was actually dealing with this, right? So I'm wondering if this is the perfect time to do a lawsuit during this Israeli-Palestine latest news. Is it Farrakhan being tactically to delegitimize? Because he said we got evidence, we got proof that, because all those lies that they said that they call Israel a gutter religion and all these things that they took out of context from Farrakhan, these people have been sitting on this since 95. And now today in 2023, in the height of the conflict, a height of the conflict, they are ready to sue these buckras. So is this tactical? Is Farrakhan doing something? Is he in solidarity in a way in which he can help the situation over there?
These streets. I don't think it's tactical.
Okay.
First, let me say this. I appreciate the fact that he's scamming the courts instead of scamming the Black community. Because like on the 28th anniversary of the Million Man Farce, I'm very happy that he's, instead of organizing another march and draining resources, time, and energy from the masses of the Black community, that he has turned his sights and his eye to exercise the Farrakhan man on some other group than our community. So more power to him. Yeah, let his energies and focus go over there and leave us alone over here. So I think that's a win, regardless of how it plays out. The fact that we don't get we don't have another march on the horizon, which one was promised, but the fact that I don't see another march on the horizon, and this can take attention away from him continuing his cultish scam of the Black masses, I say it's a win either way it goes.
So Jared, you're not with my conspiracy? You don't think it's a perfect timing?
So that wouldn't be my version of the conspiracy, and I just don't have. So I'll just, well, the notes I wrote here are, I don't know to what extent this hasn't happened, but I would much rather be reading about a statement with this level of promotion and PR being said on behalf of a liberated Palestine. If there's going to be a comment on that region or those communities at this time, I would rather see Minister Farrakhan and the NOI coming out with a strong statement, maybe to the level that Diallo had said before, condemning the violence of Israel. Why settle with a focus on little ADL when you could go after the big Zionist machine and say, stop bombing my fellow Muslims and
ain't no money in that.
Okay, so that's what
not
I
where
would
the money
rather.
reside.
Similarly, I asked, why wouldn't he argue for what I would believe would be the first time in its history that the International Criminal Court target an extension of, if not a literal, geographic participant in Western Empire, and by saying bring Israel and or the United States up on charges for what they're doing in terms of genocide and colonization. And if he wants to speak on behalf of the internally colonized Black masses here, say, hey, I want to bring. So in other words, if lawsuits is the preferred tactic, why not go at that level and say, I'm going to sue the United States and Israel for all and more that we are owed in reparations? Why stop at 5 billion and start getting into the trillions with zeros on it? And then lastly, I'll stop here and say that I think it points towards theater with this, as you mentioned, this long cyclical historical back and forth between the NOI and the ADL, which ultimately only benefits or mostly benefits the ADL and its constituents, because they can keep turning around and using Minister Farrakhan and this amorphous rise of Black anti-Semitism to fundraise and further ensconce themselves in their own communities, with the fact that I'm not aware of, I don't watch all of it, but in the statements that we've been the report we just read here and over the years, I'm not also aware of Minister Farrakhan or the NOI, even if they do target the ADL, for calling out the ADL for its historical role in conservative reactionary colonist politics. We're spying on Black liberation movements, spying on pro-Arab resistance movements, and working for the state, working for empire. I would rather, never mind the nonsense about just like the ADL, the nonsense of Jews suffering anti-Semitism, the nonsense of Farrakhan and the NOI being called anti-Semitic, and with the claim that this is inhibiting his ability to struggle on our behalf. That part to me is I struggle to find value in that. So that's why I would much rather see in these kinds of statements, if you're going to call out the ADL, there's so much more that they could be called out for than simply calling members of ours or other communities anti-Semitic.
So in the final call, that little link I sent, they did mention a little bit about the occupying of Palestine. So they are connecting it in a way, but definitely not the way you just laid out. But also, so this judge, Denise L. Cote or Cote, whatever how you pronounce it, I don't know how or why they select her or what's going on or whatever, but she has this stance that she's against. She was tough against Apple. She's tough against major corporations. And again, I know this is probably like anecdotal. She was put in place by Daniel Patrick Moynihan and Bill Clinton. They would help her get into office. But do you think that he even have a chance to even win, or is this just like you said, maybe it's a waste of time, or no shit show or whatever?
I don't know. It's always tough. You got to. I always think it's and I've learned a lot of this honestly from my wife. You got to and being this is her area of expertise, but you have to be careful when entering in the courtroom. It's because it's not a matter of what makes sense to you. It's not a matter of what is logical. It's a matter of what can be proven, how the law works, and how well people in the room at the time manipulate the law. So on its face, it seems to me that, I hate to say it, but I hate to say that I would agree with Greenblatt that it's not going to go far. I struggle to see how he would win this case, but that doesn't mean he can't. But again, I think even if he somehow did win some sort of settlement, even if it wasn't quite the $5 billion or the $4.8 billion, I still think politically it would be much more valuable were he to and they, that is the NOI, to make some of the points that I was trying to raise a moment ago. And that, to your point, there is some reference to here in this story, and we can make this link available. It's on the finalcall.com. But that I think would be much more. But do I think they're going to walk away with $5 billion on a judgment that him saying the things that I'm sure would be put in court are not deemed as quote unquote anti-Semitic, given what has been already accepted in the zeitgeist and in the popular culture in this country and have been imposed on us as being acceptable definitions of anti-Semitism? It doesn't seem like it's a likely win for him. No.
Right. So Diallo, if he wins and at least a few of those statements are exposed as
I'm sorry to cut you off, but I do just want to shout this out that they do. I'm sorry, they do have a section here in pattern and history of violations while posing as a friend of numerous civil rights organizations. The ADL worked jointly for decades with the FBI, conducting illegal surveillance and monitoring of these organizations. So, all right. So to that, I mean, to be fair, I got to give him credit for that. I stand somewhat corrected on that, but I would rather this be the headline of the lawsuit than the anti-Semitism.
But then wait. So FBI, as if the NOI can also be leveled that same accusation.
In another case, yeah.
Wow. Okay,
So,
well, now you're bringing up other old stuff.
Like I said, the bow tie calling the yarmulke black.
So Diallo, if Farrakhan has some level of victory for some of his legit critiques on Israel to be removed from the idea that's anti-Semitic, will that help people on the left, or will that help paint a better picture?
No,
of
because the NOI is not a leftist organization.
we
Why
know
would that help the left
what I'm saying
to give
is,
more resources to a right-wing cult?
I'm not talking about the resources per se. I'm talking about if it's publicly known that these legit critiques are not anti-Semitic, will that push people into actual real critiques that people on the left have?
No, I think any level. I think both sides. I think that if Farrakhan loses, he's going to condemn the racism and say the Jews control the court or some rhetoric like that. If Farrakhan wins, he's going to say that the courts validated the same devil courts were right, so he can get justice from the devil. It's really, this is not about the people and freedom of the people. I think that the Nation of Islam, what is so bad is that they do have legitimate criticisms against the ADL. The ADL is a reactionary and repressive organization, and they do utilize the rhetoric or the title of anti-Semitism in order to silence outrage against atrocities committed by Israel and exploitation done by Israelis. So it's the right thing coming from the wrong source, because the Nation of Islam also has its, I don't know if we could call it baggage, but I don't think that the masses or the common people have that much dog in the race, because and it's something because just like the Zionists, the role that the Zionists play within the Jewish community, we look at a lot of things that the Zionists and the reactionary right-wing Jews, conservative Jews, the role they play in the larger community. But internally, the impact that Zionism and the Zionists have on people who are of that Jewish Ashkenazim impact. And so when we look at Farrakhan's fight against the white devils externally, and we a lot of times ignore the internal impact, or even worse than ignoring, as when you quoted Howard Zinn, omission versus a lie, the internal impact and how we distort the impact that the Nation of Islam cult has had on our people. So both of these organizations.
I didn't mean to pull that lady's picture up while you was talking about white devils, by the way. That was just pure coincidence.
You messing up Farrakhan's chances, dog.
I just
mess up his whole
to clarify that production error and accident of timing.
Yeah, and again, I think this is just like another scam. I think this is yet another money grabbing scam.
I must say,
by a reactionary cult.
So the Catholic judge who is presiding over the Black Muslims and the Jewish
and the Jews,
white people, right? She actually used to teach African American history. So
sounds like the beginning of, oh my God, it's even better. It sounds like the beginning of a joke, a good joke. The African American Studies professor, Irish Catholic judge, is
Roman Catholic.
A Jew and a Muslim walk into an Irish Catholic African American Studies professor's courtroom, and the punchline is black people. That's what the punchline is,
right? Yeah. And I thought that the United States, the whole damn country, was supposed to face divine justice.
With a little help from a federal lawsuit.
Is that divine? I read Fall of America.
Look, all he's hoping to do is go to the court and hit a home run.
Yeah, and grandstand. But I think it's unfortunate. I do think it will further bolster the cult of personality around Farrakhan and the Black communities. The fact that he says that, you know, being labeled anti-Semitic has hampered his ability to fight for us when for the better part of the last 4 decades, if not half century, he's been one of the most prominent and respected people within the Black community. And I've yet to meet a Black person on the face of this earth who says, I don't like Farrakhan because he's anti-Semitic. You know, I know a lot of people who don't really rock with Farrakhan, but I ain't met one, and I am one of them, but I ain't met one Black person who says, I don't like Farrakhan because he's anti-Semitic.
That's
now,
a good
I ain't
point.
saying they're not out there. I'm not saying those coons, but them ain't the type of coons that are going to be involved in any other type of Black action. So I don't really know how he says, well, I've been hampered in my efforts, you know, because I know what has hampered his efforts. And I don't think it's the ADL, but
unless you could argue
I think they deserve each other.
Unless you could argue that he would get more time on more popular media to therefore become more popular.
That's the
path. I'm just saying that's the only
the white devils wouldn't platform me.
But I think to your point, I can't think of ever meeting a Black person that said, I don't like Farrakhan because he hates Jews.
Right. And then due to the ADL, he wasn't able to get as many Black people to get a Scientology audit as he initially would have. You know, or he could have had a 2.5 man march instead of a 1 million man march to talk a whole bunch of nonsense and to do a whole bunch of nothing. I could have brought 8 million Black men to Washington, D.C. to waste their time as opposed to just 1 million. So
maybe when he get the money, he gonna refund us. He gonna refund us some plane tickets.
Or maybe that restaurant, that $1 million salam restaurant, would still be open. When he raised over $1 million from the community to open a bean pie factory. And maybe the brothers hustling bean pies and final calls on the corner can get some little shelters built for them so they're not out in 3-piece wool suits and bow ties and up to the collar, so in 98-degree Chicago summer, hustling unrefrigerated bean pies that got dairy and egg in them.
So, but wait a minute,
hell,
the
it's
ADL,
2023. Where the hell is the good vegan bean pies?
The ADL has
don't make no
50.
sense.
The ADL has $5 billion.
No, they're worth about 10 million. But you know how them Jews
10
hide
million
money.
or billion? Well, I know. I know.
The Jewish gold.
They even hid it from my own half of my own family. They even hid it from them.
Yeah, they only worth a few $1 million. But you know, Farrakhan's gonna find that Jew gold.
Did you know? Speaking of hiding the Jew gold, did you know? And I'm not suggesting we leave the topic, but this just I admit pure ignorance on this joint right here. I did not know, and I'm about to get dragged for it, but I had no idea that Brother Boots Riley is a fellow brother of the mixed Jew cloth. I had no idea. Did you know this?
He kept it hidden.
So he said, I signed this letter calling for a ceasefire, not because I think Biden will do the right thing, but to stand with other writers, directors, actors calling out this historical nightmare. Wait a minute. What happened to the rest of the post? By the way, I'm Black and I'm a Jew. My mother's mother escaped the Holocaust in Germany. Her brother was in a young communist org that physically beat down Nazis in the street before they came to power. He had to leave. He had to leave first. He was later involved with the French resistance. And I've known many other radical, proud Jews growing up, hundreds, thousands. The ones I know closely in my family taught me that never again means never again for anyone. To them, being Jewish meant fighting oppression for a just world. They weren't for a government of Israel. I spoke out versus the bombing of Afghanistan in 2001, 2002. Some said too soon, we're in grief. Families 9/11, weaponization of the grief led to millions killed in Iraq and Afghanistan, many tortured around the world. Grief cannot excuse the killings of thousands. He said a lot. I didn't realize it was this long. And starving out 2 million more, no electricity, no food. This murder and torture of innocent civilians. We can't value dead babies and civilians on one side and talk about the terror and horrors of Israelis on October 7th without talking about the horror happening right now. That seemed a little does that seem a little wishy? Valid. Never mind. And talking about the murder of tens of thousands of Palestinian children and civilians that's going on for decades. I have no illusions that making statements or us all showing or discuss about violence will change anything, although I think it's necessary for us to think. Let each other know what we think. Iraq had 2 million around the world. No war in Iraq did nothing. Left the world more organized. That is where, man, I mean, it's just a lot. It's going, okay.
Yeah, he talked too much.
No, I wouldn't say he talked too much.
See
I'm
your
just
comment.
too tired.
Yeah.
But
Okay,
oh yeah, I did comment because to your point where you made your interjection there, I hear you. But I all I will say is I'm not saying it's common, but I will say that is exactly how I was raised. That was the exact version of Judaism that was, to the extent it was brought to me at all, was brought to me. It was explicitly stated forever. This whole atheism, communism, anti-Zionism, et cetera, and so forth. But the specifics around the question of the chosen people, I remember asking my mother about it, coming home after being in the playground, like, what is this chosen people shit? Like, these kids are telling me I'm chosen. And I'm like, what is it? And she was saying, no, she said, to the extent I believe in this at all, was the point was, just as he said, if we're chosen at all to fight against what happened to us historically, and so on and so on and so on and so on and so on.
We got a red pillar in the audience.
Oh, I haven't been in the chat at all today.
Oh, yeah, we got a red pillar. Red pill alert.
Infecting black people. Okay, I don't know.
Red pill, alpha male.
So just to be clear, I'm not. In fact, I would argue it's not as common as maybe Boots was suggesting in there, that level of radicalism among Jews. But in fact, it caused more problems. In my experience, it caused more problems for my mother with other Jews than it did anything else. So I don't know to what extent it's actually that popular, but I will say it spoke to my own experience. So I was like, wow, I just had no idea. So that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, yeah, I was surprised. I didn't know that he was had such his lineage, his pedigree.
Yeah, I had no idea.
And so, I've been listening to them since Kill My Landlord came out.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, me too. That's what I was like. Yeah. I had no idea whatsoever. Hey, Geechee, what is this Heber Brown thing?
Oh, that was I only saw a clip, but he's at this conference talking about building wealth and the farm work he does in Baltimore. But I didn't actually watch the whole thing.
And he's clearing up the air. He's not a true red pillar. He was being sarcastic.
Okay, thanks.
Those be jokes.
So he's a beta male. He's not an alpha. Beta male.
By the way, shout out to the chat. I didn't even say anything. I was trying methodologically today how it would be to stay out the chat entirely. So I have not, from after the very beginning of the show, I haven't seen a thing. So I'm sure it's been vigorous and respectful and principled and full of intelligent discussion. But I just didn't pay. I just didn't watch.
Damn, Diallo, what's so funny? What you trying to say? What you trying to say about the chat? What you trying to say about the chat, Diallo? Huh?
I don't watch the chat, man.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
pay no attention to the chat. I just let the chat be the chat. I think we should bring our audience on more. I think we should.
Yes,
I'm cool with that. We could, if you want to leave time, we can start now. If you want, we can put the link in the thing. Because
I ain't scared of you motherfuckers.
I mean, we supposed to go to Maine. Y'all trying
another mass shooting.
Oh man, but yeah, whenever you want, we can put the link in there. People can jump in. You want me to put it in there now and see if people jump in the queue? Do we have time for that?
Yeah, go ahead. Well, while they doing that, let's go to Maine. So in Maine,
go ahead. I got
that's not appropriate, Geach. That's not.
No. Okay.
That's not. Oh my goodness.
Anyway, so there's a mass shooter. Did he get caught yet on the loose?
Not since I went to bed.
But he's a firearm instructor, also an Army Reserve. It was confirmed that he was hearing voices in his head. He threatened to shoot up a national base. He was in a mental health hospital for 2 weeks this summer, but he got hold to a gun and started assaulting and killing people. I think how many people dead? Was it 22?
We said 16.
Oh, they ain't found him yet. They
was,
still looking for him.
Yeah, it says they're still looking for him. He's not caught yet. This is CNN of 35 minutes ago.
And the number is between 18 to 22
it went up.
casualties.
Okay.
Yeah.
But they still tallying. But he's still at large.
700 square miles are in shelter in place.
Oh, so maybe I stand corrected. They said the firearm instructor thing has been debunked. So maybe he's not a firearm instructor.
Okay.
How about this his ex his Army Reserve? Is he still in the Army Reserve or is that not debunked?
I don't know.
And just yesterday they were still saying he was a person of interest or suspect.
Yeah, 18
they mad
dead,
cautious when it comes
injured.
to accusing white folks of shit. Because the first articles I was reading, he's like a person of interest.
Yeah.
We just want to talk. They mad cautious.
At least 566 mass shootings have happened this year across the country, with 4 or more shot, excluding the shooter.
So he still is an Army Reserve.
Yeah, it says here, U.S. Army Reserves. It still says here he's a certified firearm instructor and a member of the U.S. Army Reserve.
I'm just going off L. Cruncho, but
is L. Cruncho more newsworthy, more valuable as a source?
I think so. They got a YouTube badge on it. What you think? That's a YouTube badge.
They got a YouTube badge. All right, well, that's
badge.
legit. I don't know, man. I'm not looking at the chat. Remember, I'm looking at I'm paying attention to the show. I'm focused, man.
Well, I'm getting credible sources from the chat, brother. I don't know about you.
Because I'm trying to do nothing. When it's my turn to bat, I want to hit a.
That's why we be getting called lame right there.
Hey, listen.
We ain't got no real estate.
One point I would have wanted to make about that I didn't initially is that, again, I don't care. To me, that video is so delightful, not just because of the personal petty back and forth, which I admit I'm enjoying, the Schadenfreude and all of that, but because it does speak to. It doesn't matter if Mike is actually innocent. It doesn't matter. Because it speaks to what happens with a flawed methodology. When you have a flawed methodology, when your theoretical frame is inappropriate, when your praxis is set up on the basis of bad method, bad research, these are the conclusions you end up with. Yes, all of us make mistakes. All of us end up in associations we didn't intend to end up with. But that's why we all got to check our process and our methodologies from revolutionary struggle to black capitalism.
Or I would say that you don't have to do that, because the memory span for the missteps and for the violations and for the corruption of the wealthy, people in the United States have an extremely short memory span. So if you are a prominent, now if you're a poor criminal, then you're going to have a felony for life, and it's going to shadow you. But if you are a wealthy criminal or just simply wealthy and corrupt, the media machine is very, very good at rehabbing or whitewashing one's offenses.
One way that we make sure we don't forget something is if we get super chats, the chat stars highlights automatically, and it's easy to see. So thank you to all the people, all the power. Has Angela Davis said anything about the passing of Rochelle McGee? Not that I'm aware of, but I it's not likely, honestly, if she did, that I would see it. But I'm not aware of it. Now I do want to also share very quickly. The last chat I saw before leaving the chat, Giving Goddess asked about if I had seen Let Them Eat Crypto, and I was reminded, and I'm thankful that you did, because I was reminded of the fact that not only have I seen it, but the book has been sent to me, and I just haven't gotten to it yet. So that is Let Them Eat Crypto, the blockchain scam that's ruining the world, by Peter Howson. I think it came out a couple of months ago. So I will be getting to
Wow.
it. And and thank you, Giving Goddess, for reminding me of that fact. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And if we want to do if we want to do a collective reading for the show, I'm happy to share, and we can get busy. So yeah.
Can we get back to Maine?
Yes, sorry, go ahead.
I mean, here's the interesting thing about Maine. It's the second whitest state in the country. It is like 96% white, and
Utah is first.
I don't know what first is, man. I only looked up Maine. Now I'm trying to look like a statistician over here, and here you come trying to act.
Because you sound like EYL yesterday. You sound like EYL talking about how
they're
selling houses over price in all the white neighborhoods.
Whitest is. I only looked up Maine. Jesus, let's move on. God damn it. I don't know. Well, let me look. I ain't like.
Oh, dang! Housen sent me the book himself. I didn't realize I was in touch with the author himself. Okay, so why don't we all read it, and I'll schedule. We set him up to come on the show. How long? Like 2 weeks? Would 2 weeks work? Is that enough time?
I don't have a book.
How long is the book?
I'm gonna send it to you. Is what I'm saying. I'm gonna send it to you right now. Is what I'm saying. I'm gonna send you an email, both of you an email with the book, and then I'll reach out.
Let's do it.
I don't know how long it is, but I mean, what do you think? I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, 2 weeks is good.
I can't. It's a little hard to tell with the way this PDF thing is set up for me to see how long the book actually is. But hold on a second. It is. I'm about to tell you. It is about. The index begins on page 273. So.
All right.
You figure the last chapter begins on page 214, so about 250 pages.
Yeah, that's cool.
So I mean, we could maybe collectively read. What I would suggest always with a book like that, collectively read the intro, the outro, and then we pick whatever chapters we want to focus on, and then we can divide that up. And I'll invite him on starting 2 weeks from today. All right, sorry about that. Go ahead, Diallo.
Go ahead with your white stats.
Your maniac.
I'm done with stacks. I wanted to go into this because this gun culture, this gun society, but we've discussed the guns and people's enthusiasm for guns and the fallacy that guns are, number one, a source for safety and security, and number two, a hedge against state tyranny and state repression. So this just the gun culture. But I guess it's been said every mass shooting. I'll just wait to the next mass shooting, which is probably right around the corner, to get into all that mess.
Okay.
I mean, you could just wait between, utter madness.
Yeah. All right. Well, are we wrapping now? Are we done? Is that?
Did the audience have any questions, comments, or
I didn't see anybody
because they be talking mad slick.
I try to invite Richard on. So
I didn't see anybody. I'm
dropping. Oh, y'all didn't talk about your boy. I knew he was going to try to get us off the air.
Who?
You're not slick. You running defense. Who? Dave Chappelle.
Where's the video though? Like, does the video come out?
I'll be right back. You get that set up.
He about to leave. Like, he don't want to.
I gotta leave. You're right. You bring up Chappelle.
Yeah.
So did that video come out yet though? Because I'm still looking for
the video. I've only read the reports and quotes, and then I read his media team and their responses, and they basically responded with a joke. And Dave Chappelle has responded saying it was a nightmare he's facing. No, he said he was never even in Boston. What are you talking about? When they went to his media guy, I don't know, his PR guy, they were like, what do you have to say about Dave Chappelle's comments on Israel Palestine? He was like, in Boston. And he's like, what are you talking about? I was never in Boston. And so then the right-wing media actually took it as an actual statement when it was just a dismissive statement. They were like, oh, Dave Chappelle denies he was even in Boston. Dave Chappelle with more lies. So, but here's what I think is funny.
Mm-hmm.
Dave Chappelle cultivated a very particular. This is what my issue with Dave Chappelle is. He's a fence rider because he had a progressive audience coming out with the Chappelle show and his defiance of Hollywood, or the mythological. I think it's a mythological defiance of Hollywood, and him being so principled, he's willing to walk away from $50 million. So there was this mythology built up around Dave Chappelle as a principled guy who would stand up to the forces of injustice and whoop, 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 whoop. And then just as he had his reemergence and his return to the public arena with coming on SNL and having that soft ass sell on doing a soft sell with Trump, saying let's all give Trump a chance, and then just totally becoming a right-wing darling essentially, and taking the right side of the culture wars. So he went from having a more progressive audience to having a more right-wing audience being appealed to by right-wing audiences. And then he goes and takes another leftist position, which is a weak, I wouldn't even say leftist, but liberal position. So Dave Chappelle keeps trying to weave between these two worlds and then ends up, in basically ideological political limbo, while still riding off a 20-year-old myth about his integrity and his stances. Okay, we done talking about Chappelle, so I guess.
No, I was just waiting. I thought you were. I was waiting. First, I wanted to ask, for clarity's sake, what is? Let's clear up what was he said to say, and then you're saying, because when I saw those clips of what he was saying, what he was said to have said in his show about Palestine, he didn't say them at all.
Well, that's another thing, because the video wasn't released, and now he's,
because I know they said that they take your phones, so you can't. There's no recording. Right. That was part of the,
on Instagram.
Everybody was saying we're hearing it secondhand from people who were in there.
Well, on Instagram, audience members.
On Instagram, I do have a clip of the end where it shows that he was.
Back up a little bit from your mic. This is coming in way too. Okay. It's a little hard. Okay. It's a little bit too much. Back up just a little bit. Just a little bit, not too far. Not you too far, but just a little bit. Sorry about that.
Pause.
At the end of the clip, he's saying,
Hold on. Pause.
Pause.
Oh my God. I'm sorry, man. Everybody, to the universe. Oh my God. I'm sorry. That was hilarious.
You started.
I did. It's a mess. It's a mess. Oh man. Okay, my bad. Geechee, go ahead, man.
No, what I was saying was on the clip, somebody record. I guess the phones are up, but somebody phone record him responding and apologizing for talking back to the audience, because he was saying like he brought this Negro bought tickets to my show and he's telling me to shut up. So the story coincides with the video. So I'm actually, I think that it actually happened. It seems like it actually happened based off of that video, because what he described in the post, the person who was at the show, he described that moment, and then there's a small clip of Dave Chappelle in that moment, saying
it's in here.
No. That's what Diallo was saying in terms of Dave Chappelle say it never happened. But
okay, what clip are you talking about where he could be heard?
So there's a clip on my Instagram that shows that, and I can't get to the link because I'm on. So I have to.
Hold on real quick. All right, hold on real quick. But all right, just real quick. Let me just read this part. Right now I'm in trouble because the Jewish community is upset, Chappelle said in his North Carolina show, according to the New York Times. But I cannot express this enough. No matter what you read about that show in Boston, you will never see quotation marks. Well, you will never see quotation marks around anything I said. They don't know what I said.
Well, what I'm reading in the most updated, apparently this is from the Chappelle interview after that, he stated that someone in the audience yelled "Free Palestine." He didn't say "Free Palestine." Someone in the audience yelled "Free Palestine," and he told the lady to calm down and stop that shit. And then he said, "What's happening in Israel is a nightmare. What's happening in Palestine is a nightmare." So he basically both sided the issue, like, oh, it's just bad all around. Oh, pray for everyone involved. That type of position from what I've read.
All right, well, this is Geechee's.
Go ahead.
Oh, hold on.
I'm sorry, I got offended because that guy told me to shut the fuck up. This nigga bought a ticket to my show and said, shut the fuck up.
What was that? That was it?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There was only a small clip of him saying that, but in this statement that the guy who at the show was making, that's what happened. Like, he ended up cursing the guy out, telling him shut up. But the point was, what the guy was saying was that was after him talking about Free Palestine and all the other stuff. So maybe that guy made up something.
It was said that he said "Free Palestine," but now they're saying that an audience member yelled out "Free Palestine," and Dave Chappelle actually told her to fall back on that. So, which to me sounds more consistent. But again, I think it's funny because, like I said, I've always concluded that he's in this type of twist because he has tried. I said that he's a fence rider between the left and the right progress, and I think he has an unearned reputation of being a principled or a progressive voice. And so it's funny that he finds himself in the dilemma that say, okay, here's an opportunity for you to flex your or to stand on your reputation as a man who walked away from $50 million because you're your principle, the man who never put on a dress but literally did put on a dress, the man who hangs out with
when did he put on a dress? He put on a dress? I'm sorry.
I know you went to check in with the Chappelle fan club.
Yeah, one of his.
I did. Ran downstairs to make sure I was on proper footing, but I honestly don't remember.
Robin Hood.
Yeah.
Men in Tights was he in that one?
In Tights.
So, no, but I'm not defending him politically. I think I don't have any disagreements with what you're saying. And I was thinking that the 50 million he walked away from, he walked back into,
exactly
60
into 80 million
or 80. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And as such, I think has walked away. I think so to make to the point I was making about Killer Mike, and I would make about myself and any of us, to the extent that all of us are outside a principled radical political organization, our methodology is flawed. And when it starts, the more we move away from that, the more we can be pulled into all these other areas. So there's that. I'm not at all confused or surprised, I should say, maybe disappointed a little bit that he could have all the nominal tough talk in defense of Kanye. He could go on SNL and push the limits about what you could say about Jews on SNL. But here's, as to your point, a perfect moment to say, yo, you can't put quotes around me on what you heard about that. Oh, there goes the thumb. What you heard about that show in Boston. But here's something you can put quotes around: Free Palestine, end the occupation, etc.
Right. But he ain't said it.
Nope.
He ain't said it, and that's
not to my knowledge. No. Yeah.
That was the only thing I was saying. I think he's a great comedian, but his politics are for shit. And
fair enough.
I think his reputation for having appropriate, progressive, or even anywhere left-leaning politics is undeserved. I think the myth and the legend of Chappelle is not consistent and accurate. So
here to Diallo's point is the it doesn't show up any better than that. But here's the scene where he's in Robin Hood Men in Tights,
which
isn't
an
a dress.
issue
It
until
isn't
he
an
went
issue
out
until he
and
went
told
out and
that lie about how when he
yeah,
was in that movie with Martin Lawrence and they came and said put on a dress and he took a stance to say why I put on a dress is hacky and I refuse to wear the dress, and the black manosphere took Chappelle and was like, yeah, he's our guy, and can't deny his presence and influence that he has in the community. And what did he do with that presence and influence? Laid it at the foot of Elon Musk and Joe Rogan and other overtly right-wing reactionaries. You know, and then he plays footsies with Black Star, Mos Def, and Talib Kweli, and then he's playing footsies with right-wingers, and so that always leaves a bad taste in my mouth. And I'm like, the dude, I just don't. My only thing is accuracy. That's my thing. Just can we have an accurate assessment? And I can debate all day our opinions, but what we shouldn't debate are the verifiable facts. And so, yeah, I think that Chappelle deserves this, even though one could argue that he's being misquoted. And the big controversy. But like I said, when you ride the goddamn fence, when you try to play both sides, when you want to be the liberal progressive champion and the anti-Hollywood, anti man in the dress, anti cancel culture, anti-woke, you want to be everything to everybody, and this is how you get caught up when you don't take any real true stance on anything and you try to rock with everybody like your boy Cornel West,
who will be on the platform today at 4:00.
Yeah.
So come on back, everybody.
My brother.
So the guy who wrote that long statement. So on that video on Instagram, I had the little clips of the guy who said 22,000 people was there, and they was yelling "Free Palestine." And then the white lady wrote something to Boston Globe, said she felt attacked under pressure. So are we saying that Dave Chappelle is right and the white lady is right, and the other person lied about the Free Palestine chants that was happening?
I don't know, but I think Diallo's point, and I just want to highlight that, is that Chappelle could just very easily go on Instagram right now and say, "This is you're not going to get a quote from what happened at the show because I'm working on my routine. But here's what I think about Palestine," and then it's over. Do I believe that somebody shouted "Free Palestine" at the Chappelle show? Yeah. Do I feel that there would have been someone who would have felt attacked by that? Yeah. Do I think then Chappelle would have said something here or there more or less funny that wouldn't be properly quoted and attributed? Yeah. All of which could then again be cleared up right now very quickly with a 20-second Instagram post. Free Palestine and the occupation. I think that's 5 seconds.
Ain't no way a white lady lied.
No, that is also true. That is also true. So there you go. There you go.
Yeah. And you remember he said he didn't want to be a black leader because, and the fact that I appreciated him saying Dave Chappelle was seen as a black leader, respected as a black voice, a positive black voice, but he said he didn't want to be a black leader because King and Martin Luther King and Malcolm died penniless.
He did say that.
There's no retirement plan. And I went quickly to look up a list of comedians who died penniless. And guess what? Way more comedians died penniless than black freedom fighters. So, and you want to talk about the stats on early deaths or premature deaths for comedians versus activists? So that's some bullshit. And just, let me not say, my wife said stop saying y'all, but I'm a Midwesterner. Too many, the masses give way too many passes to Chappelle. And I ain't saying we got to throw Chappelle away, but we just got to put him in his proper place.
But I think
enjoy the jokes and then put him back on the shelf.
I think that goes back to like the first thing about Caesar and your boy. What do we do with the celebrity worship?
Wait. You mean
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
my issue is, listen, I think if a politician, if a public figure, regardless of what makes them public and prominent, a leading black, when they go political, they open themselves up to political critique, and they should be open themselves up to political consequences. If you are an artist and you put out shitty art and people don't listen to you, that is the consequence. If you are a public figure who goes political, who takes political stances,
when
and
are they not political though?
Huh?
They always gonna be political. Even
What
art
are Trick Daddy's politics?
Entrepreneurship, and he does talk about shit. Like what I'm saying is, I don't know that the art can be apolitical at all.
I'm not saying that their art is apolitical, but I said when you take a political stand, everything has an impact or exists within the arena of politics. Yes, but when you say someone is political, that's not just doesn't mean they're going about their life. Being apolitical is a political stance. Voting is political act, but rescinding or refusing to vote is a political act. But what I'm saying is, when someone takes as a public figure like Ice Cube with his contract for Black America, not just simply having an opinion, not a celebrity with an opinion, but a celebrity who takes a stance. A celebrity who says themselves, I'm an embodiment of this, or I've took this stance and I stand on this principle, this ideology. I oppose this particular imposition on us. All I'm saying is they should be open to political consequences. A lot of times they will align themselves with reactionary and harmful political movements, ideologies, and align themselves with our enemies. And then when the political consequences come down, they want to say, hey, I'm a comedian. I'm just a singer. I'm a rapper, man. I'm just that. But they also want to ignore, I'm not a role model, even though they get paid millions of dollars to endorse and put shit on our community.
So what I'm arguing is, the minute you make your art public, it becomes political, and you're up to the same critiques as if you said something. Like the sister last week who was about to beat you up and talked about your mama. Her stand-up routine has nothing but liberal politics in it. And because you have this famous attraction towards you, the shit that you say is going to influence people to take a political line as well. So there's no way to not, once you become public with your art, your ass is in a political sphere. You're political.
I think that's a bit of a stretch. Like I said, no one would define Trick Daddy as a political artist.
Pull up Trick Daddy lyrics.
No, and no one would define no one would define Sexy Red and Sukihana.
So wait, Geechee, are you saying
artist?
Are you saying Trick Daddy positions himself as a political figure in the same way Killer Mike and others do?
Well, Killer Mike will convince you
just
that
say no, Geechee.
No.
You lose all credibility. Just say no.
First of all, you gonna let me talk, or you gonna? Which one you gonna do? You want to talk?
I will allow it.
Go ahead. Diallo can answer the question for me.
Jerry. I just allowed you. I just gave you permission. Don't squander this opportunity, Geechee.
With his white glasses. But listen, so Killer Mike is putting himself in a position to claim that he has political intelligence. He can do these things. Trick Daddy isn't. But that's not to say once Trick Daddy becomes public with his content, he has a political line, some type of political disposition. Not that he's calling himself political and into politics. Killer Mike does that. So both of them have a political line, just like Sexy Red. Sexy Red could talk about Trump and we want Trump back and all that shit, because all of their concept of how they engage in society is a political act. So it's not possible for them not to push a political line and agenda. So that way they should get critiqued just as well as we critique politicians. If they're going to put their art in public. If that's the case, if you want art to be art, then say the shit at your house in the mirror and don't put it in the public.
All right. So I'm looking forward to your analysis and critique on the political impact of the booty eating gang.
So again,
just give me don't listen. Give me your analysis of the political resonance of the booty eating
gang. You finished? When you finish, all right. So when you finish, her followers, the shit she said about Trump.
We talking about Trick Daddy.
Well, it's the same thing. Like, cause
No,
she's
it's
a new
not.
Trick Daddy. Is Sexy Red not the new Trick Daddy and Trina? She's
No.
right in their lane.
No, I'm sorry, man. No, she's the new choice.
Okay. Well, anyway, you take a Sexy Red or a Trick Daddy, their followers, the shit that they say about Trump, you gonna hear is repeated and carried on with whatever. Oh, Sexy Red was real. Or when what's your boy the one from Miami who Trump pardoned? Kodak.
Kodak
You
Black
mean to
said
tell
he
me
would
Kodak fans is not going to be like, damn, Trump the real one? He let Yak out.
Yes,
He let Yak out.
yes.
Okay, so that's a
yes,
political line, right?
yes.
They ain't gonna know nothing about policy or nothing about politics. They just gonna be like,
Nope, they don't know nothing about policy.
So
They don't
you
have an
have a political
ideology.
objective.
They don't have a stance. Being political is not simply having a political position or making a statement that is political or having something you produce or put out to the world that impacts politics. In the context that I was saying that being political is someone that stands up and deliberately and directly, not simply says, oh, I like this president over another, but someone says, listen, I have an ideology, I have a position, and I seek to deliberately and consciously engage the political arena as opposed to drug-fueled, ignorance-fueled,
So you're talking
off-the-cuff
political
comments. So there
sophistication.
is a such things as conscious hip-hop, and there's a such thing as drill music. There are these classifications to help us better. But I agree with your point that everything is political. Even the apolitical are political. But as Killer Cuddly Mike, we don't sit here and talk about some artists come up quite frequently, whereas other artists don't. There are ministers in our community, reverends in our community who are overtly political. And then there are apolitical reverends in our community who say just trust in God. Now, they also have political impact. So we could talk about the political, social, cultural impact of any artist. But what I'm specifically talking about are those artists or public figures who are deliberately, consciously political.
Okay, and why is Mike there? Because the difference is Mike has learned that public policy impacts your bottom line, and so his ass is in public policy because it helps his business. Just like he said, he want to be like T.I. because T.I. getting contracts from Lance Bottoms. He want to get contracts from Lance Bottoms. Hence why Lance Bottoms will call Mike silly ass and T.I. out to say, hey, calm them people down. And he would bring his crying ass out there and say, don't burn down your house for fear, whatever the fuck he was saying. So Mike sees objective of being into politics to help his money. He's a capitalist. That's what he said. Trick Daddy, old silly ass, probably don't know that yet. But once he learned, like from Mike, that he might be in the space too.
Okay. Every artist and public figure is political.
Every last one of them.
Okay.
And they have political impact.
But I asked you, what are Trick Daddy's politics?
I mean, I could look through.
Or better yet, what's Sukiana's politics? Let's get a more contemporary artist. What's Sukiana's politics?
I mean, I actually don't even listen to Sukiana.
Just to be clear, just to throw it in there real quick. What makes them political, or what makes their art political, has nothing to do with the politics of them individually.
Are they political artists or political figures?
I wouldn't describe them as that, but to Geechee's point, as I'm hearing it, I would argue that the work that they are positioned to do and promoted to do is political. Their popularity, their platforming is political. Their existence, the industry itself is political. So whatever their politics are, and by the way, I argue the same thing for those who claim and even perform a more left politics. Their politics is irrelevant. It is the politics of the institution that promotes them that is I think dominant or more important or relevant. But I was it. I
think you're just trying to speak so we don't have to put Ice-T on the wire. I think that's what he's trying to absolve Ice-T from being a political figure. But you am no, not you. I'm talking about Diallo. Oh. Diallo is trying to depoliticize art. Sound like.
Never said art wasn't political. I said that there are figures or individuals who are political, who want, and those who are overtly political, and those who aren't political artists but everything. Yes, but again, like you said, like Jared asserted, you think that the political influence, political impact, the political stance of Killer Mike is equal to or on par with Trick Daddy. So every artist is a political artist.
You said I said
every
no. I didn't say it was equal.
Artist.
See what you're doing just there, Mike.
Well, he asked you a question that you refused to answer. Maybe you should re-ask the question, Jared, about.
No, my question. Okay, Geach. I now forgot exactly what it was, but the question was, are you saying that? What's her name? I was asking about, do you think that the artists you're naming intend to position themselves as political figures in the way that Mike does? Because that is a distinction I think that does exist. Okay,
right, and that's the distinction I'm talking about as well.
But the only reason why Mike is even in the political arena is because he understands it has some impact on his dollars, his business. So that barbershop, the swag shop that we walked
that goes a bit far.
Let me finish. The swag shop that we walked past the other day when we was in Atlanta is one of his many businesses, and he know getting public policy, grants, zoning. He know that his ass got to be in that conversation to make his business even better. Trick Daddy got one damn restaurant, maybe, and maybe he's not totally aware of that, or maybe he's not public. So yes, Mike presents himself as a political figure, pundit, intellectual, whatever you want to call it, but and that will separate him from how Trick Daddy engaged.
How do you know? Okay, so what you're saying is the only reason Killer Mike is political is to affect his businesses?
No. The only way he's presenting himself as what you is calling political that separates him.
That's not true. Do you listen to the man's music?
I mean, not really, but I know
okay.
enough.
You should probably listen. Go listen to Reagan, because I mean,
Reagan. How old is Reagan? How old is Reagan?
I don't know.
So,
or do you say, did he denounce or distance himself from that song?
I'm just saying people can do cosplay all the time. You act like people can't.
No, we're not talking about the. You said the only reason he's engaging in public policy is for the advancement of his business. I think that goes pretty far to the assertion.
He calls himself a capitalist. Why do capitalists engage with public policy?
Several reasons. And it can be to increase their profits. It can be to repress workers. It can be to expand imperialist politics. But a lot of capitalists support right-wing reactionary and authoritarian ideological movements as well. Many capitalists are hyper-conservative evangelical Christians, and they want to bring about the various dispensations.
And that helps.
So yes, money is the bottom line, but I think that unfortunately, there are a lot of other ideological values and belief systems in terms of affecting the culture that go beyond just dollars. So yes, any capitalist will engage politics, but they don't simply leave it. The Koch brothers are extremely ideological in their libertarian belief system, the objectivist philosophy. These people are not just, I think that's unfortunate that we think, oh, they just want money. Because I think if they just wanted money and they just did everything to get more money exclusively, they do want to. I mean, Bill Gates is trying to program the world like he programmed computers. He's trying to restructure societies. He's trying to restructure the internal relationships and ecosystems of entire continents. So no, I think that is just inadequate. I think that's an incomplete assessment. I think that Killer Mike does have some political ideological views that go beyond his economic ambitions or his basic bottom line income. I'm not saying they're positive, and I think we have to counter them on that measure too.
So what do you think he was saying when he was telling? Well, he says, Bernie says, you know what, Mike, you're a smart guy. And if you was in a capitalist system, you'll be a capitalist. If you was in a communist system, you'll be elite. Like, in all of the systems, his bottom line was him being a leader, making money, doing business.
That's not what he said.
What he said. So tell us.
He said, if I was a communist, I'd be a great communist. But because I'm in a capitalist system, that's what I'd have to do. So he's a status quo Negro, but status quos change all the time. All I'm telling you is that these capitalists have ideological positions and stances. And a lot of times we do have examples of capitalists even losing money based on their ideologies and belief systems. And simply to reduce any individual or any class of people down to they just try to get money, I think really would obfuscate, because there are many industries that are completely obsolete that could be scuttled, but the capitalists fight to maintain, not because it makes them money, but it maintains their status within the hierarchy.
So
if you look at all these think tanks that are funded.
Why did Killer Mike bought the partner up with Caesar for what?
Now you're going back to Killer Mike.
That's what you're talking about. I don't know why else Killer Mike is moving other than for the money.
Okay, you might be right about Killer Mike. I don't see it as that, because I really do think it's not just about the money for him. I think he's fucking around with the NRA, and because he believes that people should have guns and should
protect his money, Diallo. It all go back to the money. Why he want guns? Because he don't want you to take his fucking money. That's what he says. He said it. I want guns because I don't want you to take my shit. That's what he says.
Okay, so what you're saying is even all of his politics are strictly about making money, and he has no other orientation, no other desire, no other drive.
Well, when he first started this interview, I'm answering a radio interview in Sway. He says slavery was bad, but we need to get in on some of it. Meaning the money that's been made, now we need to get in on some of it. This was what he's saying. He started a bank.
Does that answer my question? Did you answer my question?
Ask the question again, because maybe I ain't hear the question.
Do you recall the question?
Can you
recall the question?
Did you just hear what I said? I said ask the question again. I don't think I remember.
No, I'm not going to ask it again until you tell me whether or not you recall the question. That's the question now.
Well, the only question that you asked me that I can remember is Killer Mike's into politics the same as Trick Daddy or Suki?
No, that's an old dead question.
All right, so what's the question?
That question is rotting in the compost bin.
What's the new question? White glasses.
On the question on the table is: do you, because you are in the realm of mind reading at this point, do you believe that he has no other drives, no other beliefs, no other motivations or ambitions besides making fiat?
Well, you made a joke about him based off his Kelanji's interview.
Christ.
This is the answer. You don't like my long answer? And
no, because you can't even.
What did he say? God put him on this earth to protect his family. He only.
That's a value. That's a value. Outside of making money, you can lose money protecting your family.
His family and provide for his family. That's why he won't support Cop City, because the money ain't right. The money funny.
So your answer is yes. He has no other drives, no other motivations.
I don't know. All I know is the one he talk about. I can't tell you what else he does.
Hey, just real quick, I need to interrupt just because we have someone popped up. We got a guest. We got a superstar guest popping up to join us.
And she's gonna sing for us, shorty. Sing.
But
you do know, Geechee.
What, man?
You just said I don't know. You've been sitting here making some concrete, very concrete statements
before we let
Killer Mike's motivation, and then we get to the wall, and you're like, I don't know.
I'm gonna answer.
What was the point of all of this? If you don't know, you're just speculating.
Watch this, Diallo. I am going off of the public comments that Killer Mike said.
So am I.
You're going off some other. You're going off what you think he feels and believes. So you sound like you mind reading. I'm just going off of what the brother said.
I'm going off of what he said. You're going off of what he thinks. You're talking about his motivation. Are you okay? All right.
All right. Let's.
You on one? I don't know. Geechee, you need to turn your camera on. This anonymity got you just acting out.
Let's
maybe I'm not geeky.
real
Maybe
quick
this is AI
and bring
voice.
on
Maybe I'm Killer Mike.
We're gonna bring Afro Sings in.
Oh
who
my
jumped
God.
on. What's up? What's
Oh,
happening?
I'm on.
You're
Y'all-
on.
Y'all, I was over here laughing my ass off. Look, just from me, good morning, everyone.
Good
just
morning.
from me coming on here another time, and like now I'm like, Jared, I got some beef from me coming on here another time. One of your commenters started talking about, oh yeah, I know if she's the Afro Sings that I know, she's been, what did they say? I've been a pessimist, some kind of racial pessimist or some bullshit. I'm like, what are you talking about?
I'm offended at the attack on Afro pessimism. So
is that what they said? Afro? I can't even remember exactly.
Assuming,
I blocked that
know,
person. Yeah, they
said
something like that. Like, and they had a whole, oh, and she said this, and if it's the person, and I'm like, what? So just to the point that Geechee was making, simply from putting yourself out in public in any way, people will start making presumptions about you. They will put you in a space to become political. Because I used to always say, I'm not political. I live in DC. I'm not political. But life is political. Having an opinion, having an existence is political. You just being born Black is political. Are you even Black? A couple weeks ago, y'all were talking about, were people Black enough, or who's, like who could call themselves Afro Latino? And a lot of people don't know me with an Arabic name that I'm Afro Latino, because I'm also just Black. So, I think this idea that artists are not political, or they are, like they're specifically political. Some of them do get all the way into it, but I do agree with Geechee. Simply putting your art in public often causes people to align you politically. Some people don't realize that, and they take very, very poor steps, or make a lot of statements that then they have to pull back on, because I don't want to be this, and I don't want to be that. They want to quell any type of dissent or resistance, or resentment against them. Like, they don't want to be seen in any type of negative way, so they try to play along with this side and play along with that side, but that doesn't always end up working out. When you get put, if you actually have principles and integrity and you get put to the fire, you got to say what's what.
Yeah, I hear you. In fact, in even academics, a lot of people are particularly right now hesitant to have themselves, to Geechee's point from earlier, recorded for posterity in a statement that could be quoted. And I think Chappelle, in reading that quote from him, expressed some sort of sense of power in not being able to be quoted, even as he's rejecting the power he has in saying something definitively to be quoted. But okay, right on. Anybody saying anything? Is that it? They taking a break? That was it? You shut it down?
I doubt that I shut anything down.
Nah, I was just finding I was just finding one of Trick Daddy's political statements. My bad.
How's the search going?
I found it. He says he talked about DeSantis down there.
What'd he say?
I'm pulling it up now. Trick Daddy blasts Florida governor for biased LGBTQ and abortion legislation. Trick Daddy is spoking out against Florida Governor Ron.
Calm down.
Yeah, that's vibe. That's vibe, bro. That's vibe.
Stuff like that makes my teeth itch.
The Miami hitmaker deems the politician a white bigot in light of DeSantis's signed legislation. Trick believes it unfairly targets the LGBTQ plus community and is anti-abortion. There it is. There you go.
Look at Trick being an ally.
Ally.
You see them Illuminati handsome.
Is that
Nah, that's because that's how he cook his chicken. He says,
I thought that was I thought that's not the co-opted white supremacist okay statement.
Yeah.
Oh
I
my
don't
God.
know. Isn't that what
Oh,
they
wait,
do
what if I
too
jump
now?
on my hands and put my hands
The
over
Illuminati white supremacist world. Okay. All right. Well,
Hey, didn't DeSantis is trying to convince people that Biden is sending money to Hamas and he needs to stop or something like that?
What?
I don't know.
That's what this DeSantis, I think it's on a Twitter post that he's saying that Biden is funding Hamas or he's sending money to Hamas and he needs to stop.
Wait, Hamas. Okay, I didn't see that,
let me
so I
find
can't
it
see
too.
that.
DeSantis a wild boy.
I thought you were saying Israel. That would be accurate.
Nah,
Hey,
he said Hamas.
real quick. Let me just announce that we just got confirmed Friday, November 10th. We will, in fact, be joined by Pete Howson to talk about his book, Let Them Eat Crypto. So, fellas, in your emails, you have been introduced to him and you now have a copy of the book, and we're all set. So, for 9 a.m. Friday, November 10th. See, from Goddess's comment to arranged interview in the content of one show. That's how we do right here at EYL. So like, share, subscribe,
bang.
Join the channel, support us, Patreon. So in other words, what we did just there in setting all that up is hit another home run. Good job. Well done, everybody. All right, so what's this link here? You found the story?
Yeah, DeSantis against Hamas. I mean, Biden's funding of
DeSantis
Hamas.
calls on 2024 rivals to oppose Biden's $100 million gift to Hamas. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis called upon his rivals in 2024 Republican presidential race to oppose President Biden's $100 million in U.S. funding to assist civilians in Gaza and the West Bank, arguing the money is a $100 million gift to Hamas. I mean, that's skillful PR from a political competitor. You can't deny that. So I think it is. If you're going at Biden, and if you're a Republican going at Biden, I think that's exactly how you would want to frame that.
Because Republicans are idiots.
And okay, more to my point.
Because I'm
I mean.
Oh no! Don't let everyone start. First of all, even if they gave $100 million of any, fiat or resources, how is it getting in if they have it blocked off at every point? If they have them in a closed pin and they're bombing them, how are they going to get any of this assistance?
The same way that Hillary Clinton brother gave the money to the Haitians when you used to send it to them. The same way. Trickle down.
Hey, thanks to
Well,
Bell.
I think Palestine,
okay, go ahead.
For decades has pretty much been, and you understand there's a refugees throughout the Middle East. There are refugees encampments, people who have literally been living in refugee encampments 30, 40 years, born and raised and died in camps. So it's more likely than not going to be filtered through to the United Nations and then the UN affiliated organizations and NGOs. So it's going to go, most of that money is going to go into the bank accounts of suppliers, transportation companies, service providers that are generally the white middle class. A lot of times when the government is giving money to foreign aid, it's mostly middle class white people and upper middle class white people that provide the aid and services that pocket the money and overcharge for the various services and products that they give. So most of the time when you see that, even here where they allotted like $14 million for refugees, that goes into, and it's funny because many of those same professionals and those same middle class people condemn the aid. Oh, we can't be the policemen of the world. We can't give all this aid when many of their industries and jobs are directly dependent on that aid. So a lot of people think they're going to walk up to every Palestinian and just give them a grip. Here you go, when that will come in the form of rice that has been warehoused for decades. You remember when they sent aid to Haiti, they sent like chickens that had been frozen for 30 years.
What?
So somebody had a warehouse. Yeah, there's a documentary called Life in Debt. And there was humanitarian outputs. And so they had these warehouse, even with the weapons. So we're going to give aid to Ukraine. They got warehouses and storehouses of weapons. And so they just ship all those weapons that are sometimes 30, 40, the food, preserved food, rice and grains. They ship them from the reserves, and the people pocket the money. So, foreign aid, military aid, that's all white welfare.
And the other thing, I mean, just from watching. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. You said white welfare. I said that's the best welfare in it.
Yeah, I guess if you can get it, then you can get into that pipeline. I mean, take you much further than a food stamp or a WIC card ever will.
Just from listening to the electronic intifada discussion, though, or discussions, I should say, I don't get the impression that particularly the armed wing of Hamas is in need or expecting any aid. Not that they wouldn't need it, but they're not expecting. They seem to be able to do relatively well without it, or have other sources for whatever it is that they need to get done, what little they can do. But and they seem to have done quite a lot, actually, I should say, in preparation for this. So for what Netanyahu claims is on its way, but.
I mean, but there was a ground incursion, and remember, right after Obama's election, there was an incursion, and the IDF pretty much got defeated. The issue with the IDF is they have mandatory conscription.
I actually don't remember. All I remember is the white phosphorus they dropped. They sent troops in the
That's
ground.
why they have to. Yeah. Well, every time here's the thing. The IDF, it's inscription. If you follow IDF on it's these blonde-haired, blue-eyed white girls with their cleavage out, twirling machine guns. It's everyone has to go through the military, but generally it's not like they do have some elite trained factions, but a lot of times when you sit, even when there was the U.S. military draft. When you set up like everybody has to cycle through the military, that does tend to at times degrade the quality of the fighting force. The IDF is not necessarily a military, it's a police force. The IDF has not had to go fight a foreign war or fight a foreign army. They've been attacking communities and neighborhoods. The IDF is oriented towards surveillance and repression of communities and neighborhoods. Palestine is not a country separate from Israel. Palestine and Israel are the same place. So even though the IDF has the best military money can buy, I think the trained and everyone says, with a ground incursion often becomes quite disastrous, because of the nature of the IDF, where that's why people tend to want to separate military from police, because when they get bogged down into focusing on and targeting civilians, which is what the IDF does.
IOF.
What did you say?
The IOF.
What's that?
Israeli occupying forces.
Oh, I haven't heard that. Yeah, I think that's more appropriate. So yeah,
that's what Palestinians say. Yeah.
Oh, I haven't heard that. But yeah, but the IDF and yeah, but the IDF has done more kidnappings, more murderings, more atrocities than Hamas has. But they're seen as freedom fighters and defense organizations. And I think that should be more of the focus, because the IDF has a history of international and local crimes. And the Mossad, with their intelligence, I think the Israeli government is cautious for a reason, that they are not so keen on going in on the ground, even though they have a lot of rhetoric about their prowess.
And then I think that is the reason why I was trying to make that point. And maybe even in the future we should bring on Ricky, Musa, and 2 Black, because when you have celebrities, right, with the good music or the entertaining voice or whatever, them saying things about Hamas, them saying things about the IDF, that'll give us all focus on. So we'll start off with academic Hamas, and then we'll start doing all this other shit. And again, it holds a political line, and that political line most of the time is more impactful than, you know, just some basic thing because it comes from a celebrity. But this is something that Ricky wrote a minute ago, but I think one day we should have a conversation about that and invite them 3 on.
Okay. Was there anything else you wanted to say? Okay.
No, that's it. Yeah.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay.
Like, yeah, because I think a while ago we talked about, me and you, Jared, about reading what Claudia Jones had to say about secular intellectuals. And so Ricky kind of dives into that but there's parts of her quoting Musa and also 2 Blacks, and I think it's a really important piece for me, mainly is like focusing on this idea of like the political utility of Black celebrities and how once you again publicize your art.
I just saw a whole discussion about the use of the word creative, and they were talking about no, you're not. The creative is an adjective. You're not an adjective. You're a creator. Was their argument. So I like the point about the cultural worker.
Right.
But yeah. I mean, anytime we can do that. Whenever.
Then I also
Like
recently I got into this little back and forth with one of my homeboys. He always send me Charleston White, and I'm like, yo, stop sending me that shit, because like, one, you don't want to engage the conversation, but in the conversation, in the video, Charleston White saying like, you rappers are stupid. You don't need to be a rapper. You might as well be a content curator. Literally, he said that. And so like, again, she talked about that in that article too, but like them cats is, I mean, Diallo know that, so I don't even know why we arguing, but he knows like the impact of people, right? You know, when people say teaching, the most powerful form of teaching is through song. And then they ask, well, how do you learn the ABC? You learn it through a song. And so there's some type of reality of how deeply political I think artists could be, even when they claim to be apolitical.
Yeah, but Ricky just ruined the whole piece by referencing Marx. She referenced the white man. So, you know, you got to forget it now.
Them buckers, man. Buckers, they can spit truth too.
No, they can't.
Oh, they can't? I thought the broken clock was right twice a day.
Nah, man, she just ruined the whole damn article. Referencing Marx like that. What's she doing like that for? That's ridiculous. No, that's not. Whenever, I mean, you know how to set it up. They know where we are. Anytime you want to do it, let's do it. Have them, and we can center that piece or something else if you want.
Word.
I'm down for whatever. So, but just make sure you all read this crypto book by November 10th.
Done.
And everybody else, make sure you get a chance to get your book. Let me, I didn't see the chapter that said Jared is right. So I guess I have to read it more closely. I didn't see the headline for that, but I'll read it. Who's typing?
I'm sorry, that was me.
Oh, Afra's in the chat. You got to mute. Your mic is too strong.
Oh, I thought you was doing that when you was looking for the chapter to see where he said you was right.
No, it sounded like it didn't. It sounded like it didn't. No, I'm a quiet. I try to be a quiet typer. She was over there banging mashing the keyboard. All right. Anything else? Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I was mashing because the person, the user that was making those comments about me apparently is still talking. I don't know what they're saying because they're blocked or I'm blocked, whichever. I don't know. There's a couple of people that blocked or got blocked.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Maybe she's the blocker.
Sounds of Saint elsewhere. And there was some other people I can't remember. I'm not a blocker, but someone told them to repent.
Oh.
So yeah. The other thing is I really love bean pie. Who's making vegan bean pie?
In Baltimore.
I've had big vegan bean pie in Baltimore.
Man.
Yeah, it's good too. Them
It
brothers
is.
not cook up in Baltimore.
I ain't had a decent vegan bean pie.
Cause you in Chicago, bro. Y'all up there trying to sue people for.
Did you just say because I'm in Chicago?
Yeah.
The home of the bean pie?
Watered down bean pie.
Are you
Watered
really
down bean pie?
You
Yeah.
just man,
with,
you
with
just
pork lard.
you
Y'all
just
cook with
out of-
pork
You
lard.
out of pocket, brother. You
Baltimore got the best bean pies, hands down. I don't know
He
what else to
said
tell you.
bean pie, Chicago.
Yeah, Chicago. Why
Do you
would
have a
bean
map
pie be
of the
watered
United
down?
States, Geechee?
Yeah. I still
Do you
remember
know where
what it's like.
Chicago is located?
Yeah, where you at? Right over there in the cold.
Chicago's the headquarters of Minister Farrakhan's NOI.
I know that, but that don't mean they can make good bean pies. I mean,
Yeah, listen.
what's
I
that supposed to
think
mean?
I'm gonna have to revoke
Wow,
your
that might
your,
be
your
the most
what
blasphemous
do the
thing
rappers
you
do?
said.
They revoke
You just
your
said
past.
you just said the bean pies
You
are
can't
whack
come
down
to
there.
Chicago now. They are whack because they're
But
not
and
vegan.
I'm telling you they're
Now,
good in Baltimore.
Let me tell you something. Last time I had a bean pie, 1991. Man, let me tell you, they got good bean pies. I said they don't have.
You
good
haven't had a
vegan
bean pie since 91?
I've had a bean pie since 91,
A
but all
regular,
the
a
vegan
bean
bean pies are
Yeah.
whack as hell, dry.
Why don't you make your own vegan bean
I'd
pie?
rather eat sweet chalk because Allah has not put it on my heart to do so. I don't have the.
You
I
said
don't
Allah
mind.
has not put it on my heart.
Even a dry bean pie is good to me, though.
Nah, man, that's
What?
like
Hell
sweet
no.
chalk. The vegan bean pies are whack. You know, with that lightly
No,
crusted
they're
top
not.
and that creamy scent, man, and the toasted crust. I know what bean pie is supposed to taste like.
Yeah,
And
I
you know,
mean,
I've been a vegan for over 30 years, and let me say this: there's a lot of good things vegans can do, but not everything can be vegan. Not everything can be reproduced.
What you
bean
mean?
pies can.
Some things
It's not hard.
require the
You just don't have to use milk.
the excretions of animals in order to really.
No, it don't.
Yes, it do. Where you get good vegan bean pies?
We just told you.
I've had it. I've even had it before at everyone's place on North Avenue. I got them there.
They
So
often do have it at everyone's place. You can get a good drink there too.
you can get a good drink there too.
And a book.
Oh.
And some oils.
But I could be out of the pipeline. I can. There can be.
You're not
the
in these
potential
streets
that
like
I
me and
pretty
Geechee.
much.
That's what it is.
I
You're just not in these
I can
vegan
see
streets.
that the bean pie pipeline. I've been cut off. I can see that I might have said
Maybe because
or
how you
took some
handle it.
positions that could have gotten me cut off from the vegan bean pie pipeline.
Yeah, definitely on the way you handle them on YouTube. That's probably why you ain't getting these.
Look at what you say around here.
So I would not be surprised
talking
if there
about my
was a
Uncle Louis.
conspiracy. There was some
Uncle
conspiracy.
And Uncle Muhammad.
He gonna be the first one knocking on their door when he get them Billies.
Yeah,
Louis
I'm
get
about
the
to go
Billy.
sign up today. I'm about to go bump my head on the floor at the mosque today. They about to get paid.
Don't start with the bumping head reference.
What do you do? How do they pray?
I'm just saying you did almost good. We almost went through the whole episode and you ain't give no shade at any religious factions of the African struggle.
I mentioned the cults.
Oh, well, there you go.
So yeah, I'm about to go face down, ass up.
Look
to
at
the
this.
east.
I'm telling you.
Pause.
Me, that ain't that.
Pause.
And it's not to the east. I'm not supposed to face the east.
That's not the
What am I
problem
missing?
with
That's why I need to learn. I need
that
y'all
wasn't
to
the
be
problem with the statement.
That it's not the east. Depending on where you are, I'm in this hemisphere. We have to face the east.
I almost got deported to Egypt from Abu Dhabi for saying ass.
Oh, you shouldn't say anything. You should just be seen, not heard. Anyway,
out
so,
here,
you know,
out here
I'm
being a woman,
I'm trying to
talking
get
in
that.
public.
Yeah, that's my first Islamic statement.
What's wrong with
Tell
you?
a woman to be quiet.
Got your
I'm
face
feeling
all
the
out and
Islam
open and
already.
everything.
That's the myth though, because
veins.
I
I'm
am
about to
Muslim
get
and we
paid
run
in full.
and the women run everything. That's the funny thing.
Look at this
Everyone thinks that the
You're a
women are
Muslim?
supposed to.
Oh,
Look
you're a
at this
Muslim?
blasphemy.
I'm Muslim. I didn't say I was a good Muslim, but I am
Exactly.
Muslim.
That's what I was about to say.
Oh.
Don't worry.
All right, listen. I only have 30 minutes. I just signed up to go on a walk with my wife.
Signed up to go.
Great. Yeah, I signed
What,
up.
what,
I got to
what,
sign up on a
what does
schedule.
paradise look like for
what
does Islamic paradise for look like for women?
You're gonna have to invite me as a guest separate.
Because we all know what Islamic paradise looks like.
What you doing next Friday? If you come on next Friday, we could talk about it.
We shouldn't be talking to her at all. Wait, she's a Muslim woman. We shouldn't be speaking.
We can extend the.
And I'm not allowed to sing, right?
Next week.
Oh, it depends on what sect, what faction you're a part of.
I don't rep any sets, no factions. East Coast, West Coast, worldwide.
East Coast, West Coast, worldwide.
Islam wrong.
Put your head up.
Oh, I don't got my extension.
I'm gonna start
having
theology classes for believers.
Oh God,
Diallo, nobody about to sign up for your class, bro. You gonna have your same audience on YouTube talking to them, cursing at them. I'm just saying.
Muslim.
Yeah, that was a little hostile, Geechee. Dang.
I'm just saying. He talking about he gonna do classes for stuff.
I'm from the Bed-Stuy set.
They still, that's not narrowing it down.
Northeast.
I'm seeing, because Brooklyn, New York blows my mind. Like, I literally looking at Bedouins on the subway. It's 2 degrees in Brooklyn, and they got on sandals, look like they dress for the Arabian desert in Brooklyn.
What?
You
Their feet might be tough though.
Those outfits look comfortable though. They look comfortable.
Yeah, I really wish that the conspiracy to put every black man in a dress would succeed already. So I agree. I've got a few skirts that I've been looking at.
It does look comfortable. I'm not going front.
Moshood had some of the nicest lapas.
Yeah,
I want to give me a lapa, but
go ahead, Geechee. I know. Go ahead.
I know you played it, but Jared, I want to give a shout out to Hiram again. He got the best line for the next maybe 2-3 years, and I put it all in my clip. I had to put it in my clip.
Oh, Hiram made your clip.
I had to throw him in there.
Nobody from this show make your clip though.
You in there too, bro? I'm sorry. Just look.
that Israel put out. Here's what he had to say.
I was deeply saddened and outraged by the explosion at the hospital in Gaza yesterday. And based on what I've seen, it appears as though it was done by the other team, not you. But there's a lot of people out there not sure. So we got to overcome a lot of things.
What a confusing statement from the president of the United States of America.
Right.
Like why speak on it if that's what the best you got? I can make a statement like that.
Israel is an ally for America, so he is, aligning with his allies.
Still haven't figured out who blew up the hospital because Palestinians and Israelis are blaming each other, right? So they still haven't figured it out.
You just don't read, beloved.
Yeah, I'm coming into a war zone where I'm standing from one side, and
that would absolutely positively not be the smartest thing to do.
Right?
They would take that country off the map if they shot at the president of the United States.
You think they care?
They probably don't care, but boy.
You know what I mean? Like,
they probably don't care, but he's well protected in the air. You can rest assured that. Shout out to my United States Air Force in the building.
Right too.
Wow.
Yeah,
shout out to that's right. Yeah, big flex. I am United States Air Force, but they wouldn't make it. I can assure you that. Charlamagne's right about that. They'll take you off the map. So
you just don't read, beloved.
I ain't heard the motherfucking IDF mentioned. I hear Hamas 1,000 times. I ain't heard the IDF. I ain't heard the Mossad. I ain't heard nobody talk about Mossad. I ain't heard nobody talk about CIA, the United States military, the UN Security Council. The fact that we are sitting here discussing the justification or the condemnation of the victims of genocide instead of discussing the genociders.
Palestine is split, right? So there's the West Bank, where is the largest and the majority of folks live, and then there's Gaza, which is basically, right, it's open air prison. It's a refugee camp. So the 247, I believe, villages just outside of Gaza that were appropriated by settlers, right, violently taken by settlers, all those refugees were pushed into the Gaza Strip. And so Gaza is basically made up of refugees from all the other different towns and villages that were pushed out, violently pushed out, right, and seized by Jewish settlers. This was in the Nakab. We went to visit a Bedouin community, and Bedouin communities would be, and where the Bedouins live would be, the closest thing would be like indigenous reservations here in this country. They're out in the desert. This is out by Jericho, close to, again, the mountain where Jesus fought the devil. I don't know. I learned all this stuff when I was over there. That's there too. So you're out in the desert, the Bedouin community who has been completely cut off from everything else. And the regime has cut them off from everything. They live in makeshift homes, makeshift schools with no paved roads. They have their water from the stream cut off because they built pipes and redirected back into Israel. And then you also have these US bombers that fly over every 30 minutes, every hour. You're close to the border of Jordan. And so you see US military planes, which belong to the...
You mean actually US military or US supplied?
US supplied.
Okay, I just check it. I just want to make sure I was clear on that. Okay.
Yeah. No. US supplied, but right, bomber planes that just kind of like, and again, as a US citizen, right, this is where you're like, Americanness comes up. It's just like, you see that at like Super Bowls when they have the jets. This was very different, and they fly very low to let you know, right? And just this constant military presence and this constant, right? These bombers just constantly around. And so you're building your cop cities and you're militarizing your police more and more. You're trying to turn all of this into Palestine. You're trying to turn all of this into Palestine. And this is where we need to realize, right? It's like, I thought we had, right? There's those memes, right? I thought we had more time. We don't have no more time. This is it. They're taking the water away. They're taking everything away. And they're bringing these cops, right, to do the same thing that they're doing to those people over there. And so that's why I went to, one, show them, right, that there are those of us out here who want to understand, who want to fight back, right, who recognize not only their humanity, but my humanity, my children's humanity. I go over there because of my children's humanity. If I have them, my grandchildren's humanity. This is why we're fighting. This is why we fight this capitalist empire. This is why we fight militarization. This is why we fight those wars, because it's going to come back to us, and it already is. It already is. And if we don't do something about it now, we all going back to those plantations. Yes, they have. People on both sides everywhere have always stood up for each other. People have always stood up for each other. You just don't read, beloved.
That was bars, and Hiram's shit was very powerful. So right on.
So you did make the
all of that was dope. All of that.
You did make the clip, Jared. You made the clip. You got.
I'll be window dressing, making everybody look good. I'm good with that. That's fine.
As he was doing the Lord's Allah and the universe work, you got to sit right next to him.
That shit was all of it though. Diallo's shit was bars too. That whole point. Because I don't hear many people making that point elsewhere either. Why Hamas, and very few people even do you know, honestly, even when I'm looking at, now that I think about it, now I'm probably wrong. Let me slow down. I was about to go too far.
Thank you. Thank you. Trust me, I'm gonna be slapping people with that for at least 10 years. I ain't got to argue no more. Just don't read, beloved.
You just don't read, beloved.
I like to say you can't. I think that's disrespectful. You can't read, but
No, he said it perfectly because people because I don't like when people I don't prefer that method when people speak down to their audience.
Right.
You can read. He's saying, I know you can read. You're not reading.
Right. Yeah.
And the only caveat to that is the one I brought up earlier, but I'm not at all attached to it because what the Hiram's point is of course bars. But the only caveat that I remind myself when trying to develop an analysis is that they are denied inducement to read. They are encouraged quite in the opposite direction with the most sophisticated propaganda system, psychological warfare operation world has ever seen. So, but other than, notwithstanding that, Hiram's right. You're the only reason, or better, it still works because the way I understand what Hiram is saying there is the only reason you don't understand why we're fighting on or in solidarity with them is because you don't read. And if you did read, you would get. But anyway, all of that was bars. Go ahead. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead. I think Diallo, you were going to jump in.
I agree with the assessments, and I do think it is the voluntary illiteracy is and anti-intellectualism is or menticide to sum that all up together. I do think that, but then they don't read and comprehend because I've heard some people read things and give their assessment of what they've read, and that should be way off. So
well, that's what I mean, because again, to my other buddy's point, like you reading and studying are also two different things. And then reading, studying in conjunction with the political organization is itself another level. So
which is dope because that last time that what?
Go ahead. But I just want before Diallo responds to that, I wanted to say one quick because and I still am endeavoring to get her to this platform to bring it here, but Evelyn has that AAPRP presentation she co-led or led on African engagement with religion is one argument I would want Diallo to address. Not that I say this as a confirmed, confident atheist, but there is something to what she's saying in terms of how Africans wanting to organize need, I think, to interpret the African interaction with these religions over time. So I know I didn't do her presentation justice, but go ahead. That's it.
No, so I was quickly going to say that statement that you made when we had that brother on, Diallo's homeboy, the Black Hebrew Israelite. He quote Kwame Nkrumah with the hope that nobody read it. And when you came back and read it, he was like,
he had it exactly wrong. And I noticed he didn't come back to
did you see his face though? You probably didn't see his face.
I don't remember.
He was like, he conceded. So maybe that was
good. Yeah, I mean, we just wrapped the book. And it was my second go round with the AAPRP and third or fourth time trying to read the book on its own. It's not easy to read. And even 20 years after my first attempt, it's still a struggle in certain sections in particular. And when you're not reading it in conjunction, not only with people with a certain political education and consciousness, but certain expertise in philosophy or science, or certain areas of science, it's just not something you can pick up. I'm confident that it's not a matter of intelligence. It's just one of those things I don't think you can just pick up on your own, just read it and keep it moving, as you would with many other books. So all right, I'm my bad. I'm done. Go ahead.
After did I cut you off?
I think we cut Diallo, or I cut Diallo off too, but yeah, go ahead. Somebody.
I don't know.
Okay. I mean, go ahead.
I'd like to. Hey, if I'm wrong about religion, these male chauvinist murder cults, please inform me, please, because I'd like to believe that because I am well versed in these male chauvinist murder cults, and I am painfully aware of the historical and current impact, and I'm also painfully aware of the trajectory of African people on the continent and of the African diaspora, the trajectory of our people as we engage with these male chauvinist murder cults. The
But
reason I
even
invited
non-believing,
sis,
sorry,
even though, and they mentioned me calling out the Black Hebrew Israelite on the show, is because I think that we need to allow some of these delusional people an opportunity to articulate their positions, because a lot of times we sit in echo chambers so confident and correct in our analysis, but these people are out here spreading across our communities and recruiting and integrating people into these murder cults on a daily basis. As I go about my day in the communities, on a daily basis, I don't pass some type of literal soapbox that doesn't have Hebrew Israelites out here yelling, and we mock and dismiss them, but their numbers are growing. So we should know about their positions, their ideology, and we should not have any level of reverence for these male chauvinist murder cults. But I do think we should respect them. And by respect, I think we should look at them, intent, and acknowledge who and what they are and the impacts that they've had. I'm sorry, African.
So as a woman, I will say that men, period, believers and non-believers, tend to be male chauvinistic murder cults anytime that they gather in any way, including when they believe in nothing, including when they are including where they're extremely opposed to any sort of thought of someone being greater or more powerful than them as an individual or as a collective of people that they could see. Atheist, agnostic, Christian, Muslim, Jewish, Buddhist, Sikhs. There's a whole lot of, I've met a lot of people. I'm from New York and DC. So I've met a lot of people with a lot of ideas and things, and a lot of men, because a lot of men find me attractive and they approach me in all ways, and they have a lot in common with each other. And it's often misogyny, is often anti-woman, it's often self-aggrandizing behavior, whether they have religion behind it, whether they have money behind it, whether they have position behind it, whether they have, whatever it is, it's always, I'm better than you because this. I should dominate, inform, instruct, take over, be violent, whatever, because I am a man. That's usually what the actual grounding basis is.
So are you kind of saying that capitalism and all these things are all murder cults? Because when you first started, you said something about all men. Say it again. The first part about men.
I'm just saying that when you get into this idea of somebody being better or worse than the other, I'm better, or those people are worse, or they're bad because they are this way. That's usually what it is, whether they're capitalists, whether they're communists, whether in all of these different factions, in organizing, in religion, in politics, in business, and all of these spaces, the common denominator that I find this type of very aggressive, chauvinistic, I was using the language that Diallo said, which was male chauvinistic murder cults. And I'm saying that I could categorize any of those spaces that way, because because the attitudes that they have are usually grounded in male chauvinism, and it has nothing to do with the religions. It has nothing to do.
So you are asserting that Islam is a male chauvinist murder cult, but you're justifying your adherence to it because other institutions and
the beginning of what you said was wrong, so I could already say no.
Is Islam a male chauvinist murder cult?
That was your characterization.
Do you agree with that characterization? Because you did not respond by saying Islam is not a male chauvinist murder cult. What you did was say all formations, all groupings, all organizations can be defined as male chauvinist murder cults. So in all where we find this, in all formations and groupings, would you say that Islam fits within that grouping as well?
I don't.
You didn't
think that
defend Islam. You
I
condemned
don't think
every
that
other
I agree
gathering.
with your engagement is probably what it is, because you started off by characterizing something that is different from what you believe or agree with as something evil, chauvinistic, all that,
Yes.
right? And so what I'm saying is that what I have found is your attitude toward Islam or any religion is pretty much the same as any organization of any type that I've
I don't
ever
feel
been
that way
in,
about all
that I've ever
organizations
been
and
in,
formations.
that has men leading it and having that attitude that whatever they are not a part of or whatever they are opposed to is this evil thing. That is
Okay,
what I
back
was
to
agreeing.
Islam. Back to Islam.
I don't
Hold on,
have
real
to
quick.
held on to Islam.
Let me-
I told you exactly what I said. That's what
Forgive
I
me, everybody. I just want to be able to say, because I'm going to leave in a few minutes, and I don't want to interrupt any further. So I'm going to say my goodbyes now. I'll let either one of you close out the show at the appropriate moment. Afra, I hope that you can come back anytime, and I can be around for a longer part of this in other conversations.
Well, she's
So
coming
that's
back.
it.
Well, she's coming
Okay,
back, so we don't
fine.
have to
Okay.
finish it now because it's already 3 hours in, and it's probably going. We should probably structure it, right? But
I would prefer that, because I think we already did start off in a bad spot. I agree with some of what's being said in the chat about how this is beginning, and I think it would be better if we tabled it, and maybe if we plan to start next week's show with this or something like that with this discussion, we could lay it out and maybe do something like that, because I think that would be, and if I could somehow get Evelyn to join us for that, I think that would be perfect. There we go. It looks like it looks like the idiots are back. That's why I left the chat. The idiocy is back in the chat. But so yeah, anyway, I just wanted to jump in. If you all want to keep going, that's cool. But yeah, I am running away to go walk with my wife.
I'll run with you. I'll run with you.
We had 320, so
I'm going to actually run and work out.
All this out.
All right.
But,
well, look, thanks everybody. Big shout out to everybody, all the people in the audience, people who see and hear this later. Like, share, subscribe, put us in your socials, support the Patreon, blackpowermedia.org, and peace if you're willing to fight for it, like Fred Hampton used to say. And catch you next time and throughout the platform, and back at 4 o'clock today with Cornel West. All right.
Good day, free Palestine.
Yes, indeed.
You got to earn your liberation.